My sister and I both got bound to a life turnaround system. She chose the beauty enhancement path while I opted for the academic excellence route. Unexpectedly, my sister lost her looks and fell into poverty after failing to win genuine love from men. Meanwhile, I became the youngest academician, made groundbreaking contributions in cutting-edge physics, got pursued by Beijing's most eligible bachelor, and achieved both fame and fortune. My sister, consumed by jealousy, ran me over with her car. When I opened my eyes again, we'd both been reborn on the day the system bound us. My younger sister beat me to it, choosing the academic overlord system. Sis, this time let me become the top genius in academia for you. Watching her smug smile, I slowly curved my lips in response. Little did she know, every gift from fate comes with a price. 1. Only after Lin Jinyan ran me over did I realize she'd always regretted her choice. At 16. Both Lin Jinyan and I received a system-bound opportunity to turn our lives around. The mysterious voice said we only get one chance to choose, beauty beyond compare or genius-level intellect. You only get one shot at this life-defining choice. Have you decided? In her past life, my sister chose the beauty system, convinced that looks were the golden ticket to high society, but when she actually climbed higher through beauty and saw the wider world, she realized beauty wasn't the rare commodity she'd imagined. She was just a plaything for those rich boys, never receiving their genuine love. They were infatuated with her beauty, but it was nothing more than fleeting pleasure. In the end, my sister lost all her charm without true love, abandoned by her sugar daddy and left in utter destitution. Meanwhile, I got bound to an academic overachiever system, becoming the youngest academician while being pursued by Fu Yanyu, the unattainable crown prince of Beijing's elite circle that even my sister couldn't conquer. I achieved both fame and fortune. After she killed me out of jealousy, we found ourselves back at 16 again. This time, before the mysterious figure could finish speaking, my sister shouted, I choose the academic overachiever system. The mysterious figure revealed half their face, smiling at the younger sister. But just now you said you wanted unparalleled beauty. The system is derived from your innermost desires. Are you truly certain about becoming a top student? The younger sister answered greedily and impatiently, yes, I must become a top student. Looks are nothing compared to brains. The mysterious figure pondered for a moment before turning to me. What about you? Seeing the stranger actually seeking my opinion, my younger sister suddenly rushed forward and snatched the colorful orb from their right hand. The glowing orb merged with her upon contact. Her sister's eyes sparkled with ecstasy. Perfect. This time, the fame, fortune, and chance to be pursued by Fu Yanyu will all be mine. The mysterious figure remained motionless, only his smile growing gentler. You can only bind with the beauty counterattack system now. The mysterious figure handed me another glowing orb before gradually turning translucent and vanishing. The gifts bestowed by fate have been entrusted to you. Hosts, please fulfill your missions diligently and embrace a blissful life. My younger sister, completely absorbed in her newly bound system, looked up and sneered at me. You enjoyed so many privileges in your past life, sister, now it's my turn. I looked at her, lips curling slowly without a word. Lin Jinyan still didn't realize that fate's so-called gifts always come with a price. Even with assistive machines, human effort remains indispensable. 2. Lin Jinyan began to reap the benefits of the system. Initially, all our systems come with built-in cheats. The academic prodigy system enhances Lin Jinyan's memory and comprehension, making her study efforts twice as effective. She delighted teachers and classmates by demonstrating her photographic memory. How did Jinyan suddenly become so brilliant? How enviable! Lin Jinyan basked in the flattery, floating on cloud 9, noticing me in her peripheral vision. She covered her mouth with a light chuckle. Actually, big sister studies hard at home too, but just can't seem to focus. Sigh. I'd be happy to share my study methods with my sister if she wanted, but she never asks me for help. Her deskmate, who actually wanted to ask Lin Jinyan for problem-solving advice, immediately chimed in. Oh come on, Lin Qingyi's just not that bright. Even if you taught her, Jinyan, it wouldn't make a difference. How can two sisters from the same mother be so different? Jinyan's brilliant while Qingyi's just, well, not. Am I stupid? I stared at my math test paper with a 124 score. Truth be told, my grades aren't actually bad now. It's just that Lin Jinyan keeps reinforcing stereotypes in her remarks, making people think I secretly study at home and envy my sister's academic performance. During school years, everyone tends to view top students through rose-colored glasses, especially someone like Lin Jinyan, who aces exams without even trying. Intelligence is a rare commodity, hard-earned and deeply enviable. The boys in class started teasing me on purpose, trying to get my attention. The beauty system was flexing its power too. Lin Jinyan and I used to look almost identical. But then I started blossoming into my own. I grew taller, my waist slimmer, my complexion fairer, with eyes and brows that became strikingly beautiful. In this school where everyone went barefaced, people began noticing my breathtaking beauty. What's the point of being pretty? A student's real job is to study. True, Lin Qingyi may be pretty, but Lin Jinyan is so sharp, she'll always be my goddess. Lin Jinyan basked in smug satisfaction at this. I watched coldly from the sidelines without uttering a single word to her. Little did she know. The genius system doesn't make people smarter for nothing. In her past life, she had to win others over to gain the genuine affection of the chosen one, while I had to work twice as hard, burying myself in studies, just to achieve academic success. Intelligence alone isn't enough. Those at the top never lack talent. In the end, what truly matters is who works harder and endures the loneliness of fruitless efforts longer. The world is full of beautiful and intelligent people. Yet not everyone achieves success. Behind every glamorous appearance lies twice the effort. Fortune never favors those who seek rewards without work. 3. Lin Jinyan quickly secured her position as the top student in the grade. She was surrounded by nothing but academic high achievers. But she noticed I wasn't being ostracized by all the girls like she had been in her past life. On the contrary, everyone still chatted and laughed with me as usual. She couldn't comprehend why. Despite sharing the same beauty, being featured on the confession wall multiple times, and becoming the school's undisputed belle, I never faced jealousy from other girls. Truth be told, in her past life, people disliked her for reasons beyond her looks. Lin Qingyi, I'm taking you to karaoke after school. Yuan, Su Lang, the notorious bully from the next class, was loitering at our doorway again. Su Lang came from a wealthy family with powerful connections. His father had ties to both legal and underground circles, owning the largest entertainment complex in town. With that kind of influence, even teachers tread carefully around Su Lang. In their past life, Su Lang had pursued Lin Jinyan with the same fiery intensity. Back then, Lin Jinyan loved the spotlight, often riding pillion on Su Lang's motorcycle for all to see. Like some spoiled heroine from a teen novel, she skipped class every day while others studied hard, bullying classmates by riding on Su Lang's coattails. So despite her breathtaking beauty, plenty of people still couldn't stand her, but I didn't follow in her footsteps. Su Lang loomed over me, palms planted on my desk as he stared down with arrogant superiority. He's handsome, generous with money, and has tons of admirers, but has a terrible temper. So are you coming or not? Give me an answer. I shook my head. Not going. I'm heading home today. This was the fourth time I'd turned Su Lang down. He was visibly impatient, his eyes flashing with irritation, and the stares from those around him only fueled his anger. Lin Qingyi, don't push your luck. While I still have a soft spot for you, quit playing hard to get. The crowd watched the spectacle in tense silence, no one daring to speak up. After all, Su Lang had just hospitalized a student who crossed him last month. I lowered my gaze and pinched my thigh hard, then I looked up with red-rimmed eyes, tears glistening in them. Su Lang, how could you do this? Su Lang's rising anger instantly subsided as he scratched his head in confusion. Damn it, I didn't even say anything about you. Stop crying, will you? Fine, we won't go then. I ignored him, sniffled, wiped my tears and ran out of the classroom. Had to run another second and I wouldn't be able to hold back the tears. I have to admit that beauty can sometimes be a weapon, but it's a double-edged sword. Wield it poorly, and you'll only hurt yourself. Going head-to-head with Su Lang is clearly unwise. Playing the vulnerable card keeps me in the safety zone, without the means to protect myself. My beauty feels like a child carrying gold through a crowded marketplace, but I have no intention of following Lin Jinyan's path. Seeking protection from some powerful man, entrusting your life to strange men and trying to leash them with beauty is fundamentally against human nature. Even the most exquisite flower loses its charm with time. A caged canary was never meant to soar. I was born to soar like an eagle. 4. Don't let my slender frame fool you. I can run like the wind. By the time Su Lang came looking for me, I'd already vanished into thin air. In the dingy storage room, I sat on a tumbling mat with its stuffing coming out, pulling out the vocabulary notebook I'd stashed in my bag during the chaos. Perfectly quiet, ideal for memorizing vocabulary. I set up my phone stand while reciting from memory, recording a video of myself, planning to post it online when I get home. In this era of thriving digital economy, exceptional beauty can be monetized instantly. My study vlog account has now gained 600k followers. My fans affectionately call me Ducky and love watching me memorize textbooks. Who wouldn't want a daughter like this? A fair-skinned, lovely girl studying diligently. Among beauty influencers, I quickly stood out with 90% female followers, essentially gaining a squad of internet moms. Just as I suspected, the system's affection collection isn't limited by gender. The motherly love from netizens also counts as a successful conquest. With my student status enhancing it, the system-granted beauty no longer feels intimidating. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I'm amazed by how extraordinary my face is. My inbox was flooded with messages from talent scouts, all insisting I should shine in the entertainment industry and become a star. In her past life, Lin Jinyan briefly entered showbiz, but her career was fleeting. She was quickly tucked away by admirers, after losing her looks. Gossip accounts still frequently posted her before and after photos, lamenting how time had ravaged her beauty. Ravaged my foot. She was only 32. I'm no genius in this life, just an average intellect. The cutthroat academic world clearly isn't for me, but I'm not planning to debut this early either. With enough effort, even ordinary people can get into top universities. In the digital economy, I can monetize my looks almost instantly. Relying on looks isn't a sustainable strategy. While my account was thriving, Lin Jinyan's academic performance began fluctuating. She snapped at the system. Aren't I supposed to be a top student? Why am I stuck on this problem? The system replied in a flat mechanical tone. I can only provide intelligence. The host must acquire knowledge independently. Lin Jinyan was never one to sit still. She'd rather die than hit the books. But after placing second in her grade yet again, she had no choice but to start studying. With the system's assistance, learning became effortless for her. Soon enough, she reclaimed her spot as the top student in her grade. My parents were thrilled about this. Everyone loves a well-behaved kid who excels academically, and my folks are particularly obsessed with educational credentials. Chingy, why can't you be more like your sister? You barely made the top 70 in your grade, while Jinyan consistently ranks first. Tilting my head, I replied with a smile, but Dad, I've actually improved from before. My homeroom teacher said my grades are good enough to get into a decent university. My mother frowned. Even in our past life, she never liked Lin Jinyan, especially as the girl grew more beautiful. She always thought there was something shady about her. This time around, that suspicion fell on me instead. I heard you've been hanging around with some questionable men, Lin Chingy. Don't you dare embarrass our family in public. Lin Jinyan watched me with malicious glee. After our parents finished venting their anger, she approached with a smug smile, pulling me to the mirror. Sister, what good is beauty now? This time, I'm the one our parents truly love. I looked at her and sighed inwardly. Why am I still obsessing over these things even in this second life? The truth is, neither of our parents truly loved us. They only favored children who could bring benefits to the family. In my past life, after I became a renowned scientist, my parents turned into role models among relatives and friends, constantly dragging me out of the lab to show me off for appearance's sake. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have parents who love their children unconditionally. Sometimes, parental love comes with strings attached. But that's alright, life is about embracing imperfections. Lin Jinyan told her parents about Sibling pursuing me. Lately my mom's been watching me like a hawk. She's terrified I'll do something to disgrace the family, to the point of wanting to lock me up at home. Don't you dare stoop to such disgraceful behavior. A man's got his whole life ahead of him. If you get into trouble, don't expect me to bail you out. Back in the day, any woman fooling around with men would have been drowned in a pig cage. My mother's shrill voice echoed in my ears. I dismissed her as some ridiculous side character from a trashy novel. But today, I didn't head straight home. Sibling intercepted me at the school gate. Lin Chingy, your sister told me everything. You look down on me, don't you? Lin Jinyan knew Sibling all too well. A muscle-bound simpleton with a short fuse and an oversized ego. When Sibling realized my repeated rejection stemmed from contempt, he stormed over to confront me. He dragged me away from the school gate, his face twisted in anger as he demanded an explanation. Looking down on me, are you? I've got plenty of ways to deal with you. I looked helplessly at Sibling and let out a soft sigh. Same old tricks. Are you going to bully me along with Lin Jinyan too? Teenage boys are easy to manipulate, even someone as morally bankrupt as Sibling. Picking unnecessary fights without guaranteed victory is downright stupid. I've got too much to live for to go down with trash like you. Who's bullying you? I covered my face and started sobbing, refusing to answer no matter how Sibling pressed me. In the deserted equipment room, only my muffled weeping echoed, the sound drilling into Su Lang's skull. Lin Jinyan dragged Fu Nianyu toward the equipment room under the pretense of discussing homework. Su Lang was the type to lose all restraint when angry. Taking Lin Qingyi away today would surely end badly for her. She didn't just call Fu Nianyu, but also rallied other classmates and even preemptively phoned their parents, saying her sister had run off with troublemakers and couldn't be stopped. The whole group marched toward the equipment room in a boisterous procession. Lin Jinyan walked with a spring in her step, her face lit up with a radiant smile. As if she could already picture Lin Qingyi's reputation crumbling before her eyes, Fu Nianyu trailed behind her impatiently. Why must we do problems in the equipment room? Lin Jinyan murmured softly. I think the equipment room has better ambience. Seeing a few classmates nearby, Fu Nianyu decided not to say anything more. As Lin Qingyi pulled open the lounge door, she spotted her parents hurrying over from a distance, without even properly seeing what was happening inside. She screamed the moment the door opened, "Mom, don't come over. I can't believe my sister would do something this shameful." My parents immediately cursed our family's misfortune upon hearing this, pushing past the stunned classmates to step forward, then froze in the doorway. "Mr. Su, what are you doing here?" 6. Inside the equipment room, it wasn't the scene of me and Su Lang in a physical altercation that Lin Jinyan had imagined, because there's actually a third person here. Su Lang's elder sister, Teacher Su Huan. A table stood in the spacious room where Su Lang and I sat on opposite sides, while Teacher Su Huan held an exam paper, explaining key test points. The sight of so many people gathered at the doorway made her freeze momentarily. "What brings you all here? Are these parents? What's the matter?" The atmosphere instantly became extremely awkward. All the classmates who came with Lin Jinyan heard what she just said. The scene inside the room was clearly nothing to be ashamed of. My parents' curses got stuck mid-sentence, leaving my dad choking so hard he nearly rolled his eyes. How? Why is Teacher Su with Qingyi? Su Huan's calm gaze carried the natural authority of an educator. Qingyi had some questions she wanted to ask me. I promised to help her after class. Hearing this, everyone turned to look at Lin Jinyan. A classmate couldn't help but say, "Jinyan, didn't you see Teacher Su earlier? Why would you say something like that?" Seriously, I almost thought Lin Qingyi was up to something in there. Fu Nianyu, already visibly irritated, grew even more sullen. Lin Jinyan misunderstood Fu Nianyu, assuming his sapiosexual nature explained his supposed undying devotion to me in our past life. In truth, Fu Nianyu only cares about personal gain. His passionate pursuit of me in our past life wasn't just out of affection, it was primarily because of the high-profile project I was leading. The groundbreaking research from this world-class team could generate millions in profits. Securing this collaboration would elevate the Fu family's status significantly. Someone of Fu Nianyu's social standing would never entertain naive romantic notions. Though still young, this reincarnated Fu Nianyu clearly retains the same calculating mindset from his previous life. A few words were all it took for him to understand why Lin Jinyan had summoned him. "Lin Jinyan, I didn't come here to watch some catfight between your little sisters." "Nianyu." Lin Jinyan called Fu Nianyu's name plaintively, but her coquettish glance was wasted on blind eyes. "Honestly, I had no idea my sister was here. My eyes must have been playing tricks on me. I only saw Su Lang and my sister together, and I thought she was." She deliberately paused, speaking with suggestive ambiguity. "After all, everyone knows Su Lang's been pursuing my sister." At the word pursuing, my mother's face contorted. If Teacher Su hadn't been present, she probably would have started scolding me right then. In her eyes, any conflict between men and women can be blamed on the woman's impropriety. Physically present, mentally stuck in the Qing dynasty, my mother somehow slipped through the cracks of China's reform era. If given the chance, I'd recommend exhibiting her at the Capitol Museum. She'd make a perfect living exhibit of late Qing commoners' mentality. My mother remained silent. But Su Lang spoke up. "He might be a jerk, but he's not completely brainless." It suddenly dawned on him that Lin Jinyan had been using him. "Cut the crap, Lin Jinyan. Wasn't it you who told me to come find Lin Qingyi here today?" Su Lang sneered coldly. "So this is your little trap for us? You think I'm as despicable as you? Such foul schemes for someone so young." "Let me make this clear, Lin Qingyi and I share nothing but pure academic camaraderie. We came here today solely to study with my sister." "Studying, got that? Are your tear ducts plumbed to your bladder, seeing everyone through piss-colored lenses?" A filthy mind sees filth everywhere. Unable to bear the judgmental stares after Su Lang's brutal verbal assault, Lin Jinyan covered her face and fled in tears. My mother shot me a glare before rushing after her in concern. Only after Su Lang finished did Su Huan interject apologetically. Please don't take it to heart, Mrs. Lin. My brother's just a rebellious teen who speaks without thinking. With a meaningful glance, she signaled Su Lang to apologize. Su Lang snorted defiantly. Sorry, uncle, I just call it like I see it. With the teacher and all his classmates watching, what could my dad possibly say? Utterly humiliated, he mumbled some incoherent pleasantries before scurrying after my mother. Before leaving, he reminded me to head straight home after studying. The classmates awkwardly bid their goodbyes at varying heights before scattering in disarray, determined to ruin my reputation. Lin Jinyan deliberately summoned the class's notorious gossip monger. I trust Little Trumpet won't let me down. Lin Jinyan's story will spread to every corner of the campus. 7. After Su Lang was sent home by Su Huan, she drove me back. Rush hour traffic crawled through the dim twilight. With taillights merging into a beautiful crimson river, Su Huan asked me, "How could you be so sure Lin Jinyan would bring people to the equipment room?" I smiled. I'd already started making arrangements the day she went to see Su Lang. Contrary to Lin Jinyan's assumptions, while I often rejected Su Lang publicly, we maintained casual private contact. Like managing a client, I'd occasionally exchange ambiguous messages with him. That's how I easily extracted the time of Lin Jinyan's meeting with Su Lang, judging by Su Lang's response patterns. I suspected Lin Jinyan was trying to set me up today. Knowing Lin Jinyan as I do, her only play would be exposing my puppy love with Su Lang in front of everyone, making our parents lose faith in me, forcing me to relive her past life's mistakes. In our previous lives, Su Lang and Lin Jinyan also got caught by a teacher in the equipment room. Mom dragged Lin Jinyan home for strict discipline back then. It was only after I promised to keep my sister in line that Mom allowed her to return to school. She's trying the same old trick, calling our parents to rob me of my education. She doesn't just want to live the life I had in my past incarnation, she wants to destroy me completely. We share the same mother's womb, the closest bond this world could forge, yet twin flowers rooted in the same soil don't share nourishment. They compete ruthlessly to drain each other's vitality. Whether for Lin Jinyan murdering me in my past life or her attempts to ruin me now, I owe her no kindness. Professor Su, I truly appreciate you trusting me enough to play along with this act. The moment I spotted Su Lang at the school gate, I immediately called Su Huan, which is why she arrived at the equipment room so quickly, just as I was fake crying in front of Su Lang in the equipment room. Su Huan burst through the door with exam papers in hand, beating him to the punch. Su Huan focused on driving, her porcelain profile framed by rimless glasses that accentuated her piercing gaze, a perfect blend of feminine wisdom and composure. This is no trouble at all. As partners, I'm happy to do you this small favor. To be honest, this is also a test of sorts. Su Huan calmly analyzed his thoughts. You claim you can help me secure the Su family inheritance, but I need proof of your capabilities. Empty promises won't cut it. I know my brother all too well. He's all brawn and no brains, charging through life like a bull in a china shop, not the sharpest tool in the shed, nor particularly talented, but fate smiled on him by making him the only male heir to our family fortune. Ruining him would be child's play. The real challenge is doing it without my parents catching on. Still, you've handled it beautifully. I'm quite pleased. Pleasure doing business. Yes, Su Huan and I are business partners. After graduating from a top-tier business program at a prestigious international university, Su Huan was forced by her family to teach high school upon returning home, while also being required to spend 3 days weekly meeting potential suitors from similar social circles to arrange a strategic marriage. Despite these constraints, Su Huan from that lifetime still carved her own path through sheer determination, eventually becoming the head of the Su family, though she doesn't remember. We were once comrades who trusted each other with our lives. Different paths may lead to the same destination when you use the right approach. Sometimes I think life is like a card game, we're all dealt different hands, and the key to winning lies in how we strategically play our limited cards. Whether it's the beauty system or the academic system, both can leverage existing resources to achieve ultimate goals. What truly matters isn't the system or cheat codes, it's me. 8. Lin Jinyan's eyes were red and puffy at home. Clearly, she'd been crying for a long time. My parents wore stern expressions, yet couldn't bring themselves to scold me. Chingy, you're not a child anymore, you should maintain proper boundaries with male classmates. Hanging around with troublemakers like Su Lang will ruin your reputation, my mother pleaded earnestly, trying to steer me back to what she considered the right path. Of course I wouldn't argue with her pointlessly. You're absolutely right, Mom. I don't really want to get too close to Su Lang either, but whenever teacher Su Huan gave me private tutoring, she always brought Su Lang along. You know, she's the best teacher at our school. Most students can't even get on her waiting list for extra lessons. My mother frowned, her tone softening since I was telling the truth. Your teacher should know better, especially with how Su Lang behaves. I sighed. After all, Su Lang is her own younger brother. My father chimed in, absolutely, it's only natural for an elder sister to look after her younger brother. I smiled without saying a word. My father was speaking from the heart. He spent his whole life feeling ashamed for not having a son. In this twisted household, it's no surprise that Lin Jinyan and I have such a superficial bond, but at least I never meant her harm. I turned to meet Lin Jinyan's gaze, our shared secret passing silently between us, after our parents retreated to their bedroom. Lin Jinyan glared at me with red-rimmed eyes and hissed, Lin Qingyi, dodging the bullet this time won't save you. I'll become the youngest academician. The final victory will be mine. I nodded with a smile and asked softly, Chinan, am I beautiful? She scoffed, you haven't even won Su Lang over yet. You're behind where I was in my previous life. What good is beauty? The day your conquest fails, you'll lose everything. Lin Qingyi shot me an icy glance, carrying a malice and anticipation she herself hadn't noticed. Pity she's doomed to be disappointed in me. My video channel thrived, with fans showing genuine love, my progress far outpacing Lin Jinyan's previous life. Ironically, she kept slacking off in her studies, aced every exam as the top student, yet made zero actual progress. Activating the straight-A student system isn't something you can just wing and succeed at. The system's feedback was just too subtle for Lin Jinyan to perceive. 9. After the equipment room incident, Lin Jinyan's school life took a noticeable downturn. Jealousy is an emotion that festers all too easily. Soon the whole school was buzzing with rumors that Lin Jinyan envied her beautiful sister and kept sabotaging her out of spite. Better steer clear of Lin Jinyan, who knows when she might turn on you next. Straight-A students really are different. How twisted do you have to be betray your own sister? Su Lang started leading the charge to make things difficult for Lin Jinyan. He'd tried giving me a hard time before too, but failed miserably. After all, critical thinking was never his strong suit, but bullying Lin Jinyan, that came naturally to him. I occasionally warned Su Lang not to cross the line, though just for show. Of course, truth is, I'm subtly undermining Lin Jinyan behind the scenes. I did the same thing as Lin Jinyan, and there's no shame in that. The only difference, she failed where I succeeded. During lunch break, Su Lang came jogging over with a trendy bubble tea for me. He skipped class all morning just to wait in line for it. In her past life, Lin Jinyan never received such treatment because she failed to understand men's inherent flaws. The unattainable always seems the most desirable. Beauty may catch the eye at first glance, but it's no strategy for the long haul. Su Lang is completely devoted to me now and follows my every word. At first, he just saw me as a pretty object to pursue, no different from plucking a flower on impulse. Only after investing more time and going through our push-and-pull dynamic did he fall deeper into obsession with me. Thanks, Su Lang, but you really shouldn't skip classes so often. Su Lang shrugged it off. No big deal, whether I study or not makes no difference. I just can't get the hang of it anyway. He was surprisingly candid about it, stirring my straw. I asked him earnestly, if you don't like studying, what do you enjoy doing then? Su Lang paused for a moment before murmuring, actually, I just really enjoy gaming. After speaking, he looked at me with slight apprehension, probably worried I'd call him irresponsible, but I nodded earnestly and said, that's perfectly fine too. It's good to have something you love doing. You're genuinely skilled at games. My account racks up win streaks whenever you play casually. My cousin still hopes you'll carry him again sometime. Su Lang is so easy to please. Just compliment his gaming skills and he'll be over the moon. Hee. Just hit me up whenever you want a game. Sounds good. After a brief pause, I asked, Su Lang, are you planning to go pro? You're so good at gaming. I remember you've got 7 national titles. Right, Su Lang scratched his head. I'd love to go pro. But my parents won't allow it. They say I need to take over the family business and shouldn't waste my life. Feigning confusion, I said, how is pursuing esports wasting your life? Doing what you love and creating value, that's what makes life meaningful. Su Lang was visibly moved. Qingyi, do you really think going pro is a good path? Absolutely, mastering anything to perfection is worthwhile. What's wrong with chasing your dreams? If not now, then when? Wait until we're in our 30s or 40s with regrets. Su Lang looked dazed. as if hearing for the first time that pursuing gaming dreams wasn't something to be ashamed of. I didn't interrupt his train of thought, just planted a seed in his mind. In his past life, I also made Sibling give up the family business to go pro. It just wasn't as smooth sailing back then. Meeting me was his bad luck. Sibling asked me if I felt any guilt. After all, my foolish younger brother genuinely cares about you now. I was puzzled. Why should I feel guilty? I only encouraged him to pursue his dreams. Even though I manipulated him, I didn't actually harm him, did I? Sibling smiled with approval in his eyes. You've certainly thought this through. Of course I've thought it through. There's no shame in using men to achieve your goals. The real shame lies in being used by them and losing everything. In the cutthroat world of fame and fortune, beauty is just another resource to leverage. I hinted to Sibling about going pro. Once Sibling takes over the Su family, I'll secure a stake in the business. 10. I could also use Sibling's capital to invest in that groundbreaking project from my past life, the one that never saw the light of day. Truth is, this world has never lacked geniuses, even with the scholar system I had in my previous life. That project wasn't solely my achievement. After Rebirth, I lost the most crucial memories about that project's core. Now I can't meddle with it anymore. But that won't stop me from achieving my goals through alternative means. If you can't contribute effort, you can still contribute resources. It'd be foolish to relive one's life following old memories without change. Take Lin Jinyan for example. She's obsessed with replacing me and retracing my steps, never considering how the slightest alteration could trigger a butterfly effect. While she was still agonizing over whether to study for the next exam, I'd already amassed 1.35 million followers with my popularity meter maxed out. The system notified me, "Host, your popularity metrics are impressive, but fan devotion isn't exclusive or genuine. I'm well aware, you can't find true love through internet mommies, but no rush, slow and steady wins the race." As my follower count grew, people I knew started discovering my account. It began with classmates. "Holy crap, Lin Chingy. You're a full-blown internet celebrity now." "No kidding, over 1 million followers, that's insane. Can I take a selfie with you for my feed?" I smiled and said, "Of course you can." Classmates who took photos with me would post about me on social media. In everyone's descriptions, I was portrayed as a sweet, pretty, honest girl who loved studying. It also matched my fans' impression of me. My follower count skyrocketed after that, and the account landed me enough sponsorship deals to build up a nice nest egg. But Lin Jinyan caught wind of it soon enough. When I got home from school, my parents were sitting stone-faced on the couch. Lin Jinyan sat to the side, watching me with barely concealed glee. "Lin Chingy," my mother snapped first, "do you even realize a student's priority is studying? Who gave you permission to flaunt yourself online? Delete that account of yours right now," Lin Jinyan whispered from the side. "Mom, don't be too hard on sis, she's just trying alternative ways because her grades aren't good, right? Being an influencer isn't bad. My sister could support herself without going to college." Mom grew angrier by the second. "How dare she?" She turned and snapped at me. "Decent people don't flaunt themselves online. If you still consider me your mother, stop this nonsense right now." I sighed. "Mom, I was just posting about my study routine." "Posting videos is just wrong. What kind of serious student films their study sessions? No wonder you can't score as high as Chinin. Your mind's never on your studies." I deliberately talked back. "Mom, do you think everything I do is wrong?" Then I turned to my dad with teary eyes and asked, "Dad, do you also think posting about my study routine is bad?" My dad sighed. "You're so immature. How many of those internet celebrities are actually decent people?" I used to be obedient and never talked back to my parents. But this time, I suddenly snapped and lashed out at them. Finally, I blurted out, "Do you favor my sister just because she gets better grades?" With that, I ran out of the house in tears. By the time my dad realized what happened and came chasing after me, I was already comfortably seated in Su Huan's understated Maybach, sipping bubble tea while editing videos. During class the next day, Lin Jinyan anxiously approached me in front of all our classmates and said, "Sis, you didn't come home last night. Mom and Dad were so worried." 11. "Where were you all night? I saw you arriving at school in some guy's car today." "Sis, don't throw your life away just to prove a point." As my classmates exchanged bewildered glances, my parents rushed in. Mom looked at me like I was her sworn enemy and slapped me across the face without a word. "Lin Chingy, have you no shame, staying out all night? Jinyan told me you ran off with some man. You're going to humiliate me completely." The morning study hall teacher arrived fashionably late. "Mr. /MS, Lynn, let's discuss this matter in the office first. Long black hair, frameless glasses, and a beige trench coat. The teacher who arrived happened to be Su Huan. After mentioning my parents, she fixed Lin Jingyan with a piercing stare. Lin Jingyan. Lin Qingyi called me last night after leaving home. I was the one who brought her to school this morning. Su Huan adjusted his glasses and said, just because the morning clouds blocked the sun doesn't mean you should mistake me for a man, does it? The classmates burst into laughter. Lin Jingyan's face gradually darkened, though a lingering trace of joy in her eyes made the expression almost comical. Let this be a lesson to everyone. Don't believe everything you hear. Rumors die with the wise. When sharing information, if you can't verify its truth, keep it to yourself. This isn't just about being responsible to others, it's about being responsible to yourself. With that, Su Huan left with the books in her arms, taking my parents to the office. I bit my lip, tears welling in my eyes, looking every bit the wronged innocent. That expression packed quite a punch. The classmates who were already swayed by Su Huan's words grew even more indignant seeing me like this. Lin Jingyan. Why do you keep spreading rumors about your sister? Yeah, wasn't it the same story with the equipment room last time? Are you jealous of your sister? If she's prettier, blame your own bad genes. How could you be so spiteful? The cutting words hit like knives, covering her face. Lin Jingyan ran out the door in tears. She must be wondering why, even after switching systems, she's still the one being targeted and mocked. At the end of the hallway, Lin Jingyan snarled at me. Lin Qingyi. You're feeling pretty smug, aren't you? Now I get it. People only like hypocrites like you. I smiled and said, don't play the innocent victim. You tried to screw me over and failed, because you're just that stupid. Even with a second chance at life, you're still the same fool you were before. Lin Jingyan was seething with rage, barely suppressing her fury. Ha, all talk and no action. You really think I'm afraid of you? Professor Shilin will be coming to recruit students soon. And this time he's taking me with him. So what if you become an internet celebrity? You couldn't even win Su Lang over. Do you really think your online fame will help you succeed with anyone else? She composed herself, turned slowly, and knocked on the office door. Meanwhile, I lowered my head to conceal the faint mockery in my eyes. Professor Shilin was my mentor in my past life. Before the college entrance exams, he personally visited our school to select me as his final protege. It was through him that I gained access to cutting-edge physics, gradually broadening my horizons. But Lin Jingyan never knew the professor came to our school because I'd solved the challenge problem he'd set. He chose me first, then came looking for the school. So, Lin Jingyan, who's still anxiously waiting for Professor Shilin, did she ever answer the questions he left behind? My guess, probably not. The system won't guide hosts to complete tasks, it only provides assistance. Given Lin Jingyan's personality, she likely wouldn't assign herself extra study tasks, forcing someone who hates studying to become a top student. I can't tell which suffers more, the academic system or Lin Jingyan. In the office, Su Huan was still talking with my parents. Lin Qingyi is at a critical juncture with her college entrance exams. Whatever issues there are can wait until after the exams. Don't disrupt the child's focus. Besides, I've checked Qingyi's video channel. There's nothing inappropriate, just study-related content. 12, that's wonderful. Qingyi has always been a diligent student with good study habits. Sharing her notes could really help many people. My mother would always grovel before teachers. Hearing Su Huan say that, she immediately nodded in support of my studies. My father chimed in with an ingratiating smile. But I threw a tantrum and stubbornly declared I'd never go home. What's this nonsense? Do you expect your mother to beg for your forgiveness? My father yelled at me furiously while my mother wiped her tears, complaining how I'd grown too big for my boots. Lin Jingyan also began dabbing at her eyes. Her acting skills are still better than mine. She doesn't even need to pinch her thigh to cry. Sis, you should go home. It's all my fault for worrying too much and telling mom and dad about your situation. Su Huan sighed like a selfless teacher devoted to her students. How about this? Let Qingyi stay at my place for now. This way you'll feel more at ease. I can also tutor her and help with last-minute exam prep. The sobbing came to an abrupt halt. My parents exchanged glances, seemingly surprised by Teacher Su's unexpected kindness toward me. How could staying at the teacher's place be appropriate? It's just temporary anyway. Qingyi can return home after the exams. With Su Huan's support, I managed to move out smoothly. Unable to bear her classmates' sarcastic remarks, Lin Jingyan chose to go home for exam prep. With the top student system backing her, studying at home made no difference. At home, Lin Jingyan counted the days till Professor Shilin's arrival. dreaming of her triumphant return to campus. I checked Professor Shiling's recent schedule, and China doesn't seem to be on the itinerary. Poor little sister. She's going to be disappointed again. After moving into Su Huan's place, we found it much easier to communicate. She handed me a stack of property listings and asked, "Which one do you like? I'll get it for you." Su Lang recently sneaked out for pro team tryouts behind his family's back. The kid's genuinely skilled. Su Huan and I originally planned to pull strings for his team placement, but turns out he didn't need any favors. Su Lang already had some clout in the gaming scene. With multiple teams scouting him, I asked Su Huan, "Su Lang's going pro while keeping his inheritance options open. Have you thought about the succession plan after his esports career?" Su Huan fiddled with the property details and flashed a radiant smile. "That's 5 or 6 years down the road. If I can't establish myself within 5 years, I deserve to hand everything to Su Lang on a silver platter. What about you? Leaving home is just the first step, right? What's next?" I chuckled. "Naturally, to teach my little sister a lesson she'll never forget." Recently, Lin Jinyan has been quietly reaching out to Fu Nianyu. In her past life, she relied solely on her beauty to charge ahead, never truly understanding how to win a man's heart. This time around, she tried the same old tricks, wielding her intellect like it was mere physical charm. 13. The results were less than stellar. After all, Fu Nianyu valued profit above all. Beauty and brains meant little in his calculations. Sometimes I find Lin Jinyan quite amusing, whether in past lives or this one. She never seems to consider succeeding on her own merits. Her beauty and intelligence always become tools to secure a powerful man's support. No matter how many lifetimes I live, I'll never understand her way of thinking. Lin Jinyan hinted to Fu Nianyu that she would become Professor Shiling's last disciple. Fu Nianyu immediately took an interest in her, taking her out to dinner several times, oddly enough. My mother was delighted by this. She always assumed Lin Jinyan only went out to study with classmates, just like how she treated me in my past life. Truth be told, my mother doesn't actually favor academically gifted kids. My grades were decent by any standard. She simply resents pretty girls, but she's not entirely to blame. My father had a first love who was his white moonlight, and he nearly abandoned our family for her, unfortunately. That woman only kept him as a backup and dropped him the moment she found someone better. Consumed by endless emotional turmoil, my mother channeled the pain of her failed marriage into hatred toward beautiful women. It's almost laughable. My father was the root cause of all this. He neglected his family duties, yet my mother resents outsiders rather than him. This makes absolutely no sense. Lin Jinyan only returned to school after forming a connection with Fu Nianyu, just like in her past life. She mistook everyone's hostility toward her as jealousy. I call this a rabid dog guarding its food. At the stairwell, Lin Jinyan smugly blocked my path. "Lin Qingyi, it must sting seeing me with Fu Nianyu, doesn't it?" I stared at her in bewilderment, completely baffled. "Today's Professor Shiling's campus visit. The mentor who once favored you will only recognize my potential this time, unfortunately. Professor Shilling isn't in the country. He's currently vacationing on a Thai island. And if all goes as planned, he's probably already met Su Huan, who's bringing the collaboration proposal." Fu Nianyu had been trying every possible way to become Professor Shiling's student, but Professor Shilling wasn't an easy man to please. Fortunately, I used to be his star pupil. "Jinyan, I've never understood why you always treat me as an enemy when we're clearly operating on different systems. You live your life. I've got my own things to deal with. We've got nothing to do with each other." Right, perhaps Lin Jinyan herself had never considered the answer to this question. She didn't answer me, just shot me a resentful glance before turning away. I shook my head and returned to class with a sigh. Lin Jinyan was distracted all day long. She kept glancing out the window, hoping to spot an unfamiliar figure, but as the sun set, Professor Shilling still hadn't appeared. 14. Finally unable to contain herself, she rushed to the teacher's office, after what seemed like an eternity inside. She came running out in tears. "Lin Qingyi, what on earth have you done? Why didn't Professor Shilling show up today?" I tilted my head in confusion. "What are you talking about? What professor?" She fumed. "Stop playing dumb. It's obvious. It's obviously." I cut her off coldly. "You've already forced me out of the house. What more do you want?" The moment I finished speaking, someone immediately stood up for me. Lin Jinyan got bullied but couldn't explain herself clearly. Then ran out of the classroom with reddened eyes. My classmates all came over to comfort me. "Has your sister gone study crazy? What's really going on with her? The exams are coming up. Qingyi, don't take it to heart. A few close classmates knew how blatantly biased my parents were. Things will get better once you leave for college. Exactly, your account's so popular you won't even need their allowance. Just stay far away from them then. I bit my lip, looking utterly wronged, yet secretly. I was calculating my next move. Lin Jinyan never returned to school, and her relationship with Fu Nianyu hung by a thread. She was probably still lying, planning to contact Professor Shilin on her own. By this time, Professor Shilin had secured Su Huan's sponsorship and was already immersed in hectic preparatory work. When Su Lang's rebellious gaming escapade came to light, he stubbornly refused to return home no matter what, seeing his parents' distress. Su Huan stepped forward to shoulder his younger brother's responsibilities. Su Lang still needs a few more years to mature anyway. I'll manage the family business in his stead for now, better than outsiders meddling. By the time Su Lang returns, I'll be married off. Perfect timing. Su's parents never suspected her. After careful consideration, they thought it was a brilliant plan and even praised Xu Huan for her maturity. Just before the college entrance exams, my parents finally remembered they had another daughter who wasn't at home. They took me back to have dinner with Lin Jinyan. Jinyan is definitely going to be the top scorer in the national college entrance exam. Lin Jinyan smirked triumphantly, standing by the bathroom sink. Lin Jinyan said coldly, "You may stop Professor Shilin, but you'll never stop me from taking the Gaokao, sis. As long as I'm still bound to this top student system, I'm destined for greatness. What about you? How's your mission going?" I just smiled without responding. She's such a foolishly naive kid. If I can't stop the college entrance exam, I can at least stop her. On college entrance exam day, Su Huan hired people on my behalf to block Lin Jinyan's car, making her miss the crucial test. This was the knockout punch I'd prepared for Lin Jinyan. In the academic overlord system's missions, the college entrance exam is a pivotal stage. If this attempt fails, Lin Jinyan's current progress simply isn't enough to pass. How could I possibly let someone with a revenge system and hostile intentions roam freely? Half measures are pointless. When we act, it must be decisive. This is the final lesson I, as her elder sister, will teach Lin Jinyan. Lin Jinyan fell into a coma after being injured in a bystander brawl. She completely missed the national college entrance exam. I performed as expected. The results matched my predictions almost exactly. As I stepped out of the exam hall, the reporters at the entrance immediately perked up when they saw me. "Are you Qingyi?" I smiled and greeted the camera. "Hello everyone, I'm Lin Qingyi. Anything you'd like to say to everyone? Hard work never betrays." Lin Jinyan only came to her senses after the exam ended. She completely lost her mind. After crying with her parents at home for hours, they reassured her that retaking the year would be fine. 15. But both Lin Jinyan and I knew it was impossible now. She missed Professor Shilin, and she missed the college entrance exams too. Her chance was gone. Soon, the academic overachiever system would revoke all cheats. She'd revert to her true self, never to be a genius again. I don't know how Lin Jinyan convinced our parents, but they seem to have reached an agreement. My father summoned me back home. "Qingyi, you'll repeat senior year. Let Jinyan take your university spot instead." I let out a bitter laugh. "Dad, do you think the admissions office is blind? Or do I just look that much like Lin Qingyi? You're twins. What's wrong with letting your sister attend school? Jinyan's smart. She'll do just fine. You'll take the exam again next year." I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and snapped a photo of me and Lin Jinyan. Anyone with eyes can see we're nothing alike, right? In the photo, Lin Jinyan was the beauty while I was merely presentable. She's nothing like my past self, and I'm nothing like her past incarnation. The face mirrors the soul, as they say. "Mom, Dad, even if I look identical to Lin Jinyan, I won't give up my college opportunity for her." "Jinyan, don't you think it's awfully convenient that there just happened to be a fight blocking your only route to the exam hall?" Lin Jinyan's eyes widened, her breathing became rapid. "You did this?" My parents stared at me in astonishment. "What?" I pursed my lips into a smile and simply replied, "Guess what?" My father was boiling with rage, and in a fit of anger, he raised his hand to strike me. I nimbly dodged his swing. I had stayed planted by the door since entering, ready for a quick exit. Seizing the moment while the three stood stunned, I spun around, dashed out, and frantically jabbed the elevator button. After dashing out of the neighborhood, I slapped myself hard across the face. Then I turned on my phone and recorded a video of myself, sitting in the taxi as I imported the freshly recorded clip to the drafts folder. An unknown text message popped up on my phone. It was from Lin Jinyan. "If I'm suffering, you're going down with me." Lin Jinyan made my life miserable by dragging our parents into online accusations against me. Through sobs, she begged her sister to come home, claiming she'd forgive her for deliberately sabotaging her college entrance exams. Our parents wore expressions of utter family disgrace. 16. Lin Jinyan even bought trending spots, and soon, hashtags about me skyrocketed to the top of the hot search list. Hashtag classmatechingy hashtag Linchingy scheming girl hashtag Lin Kinjia's sister got screwed hashtag. After the incident blew up, a bunch of people came asking me what happened. The internet moms in the group chat were furious. There's no way Chingy would do something like that. Exactly, she's not even capable of pulling that off. Your trust in me moves me deeply, and honestly makes me feel a bit guilty, because Lin Jinyan only told this single truth the entire time. I was truly the one who prevented her from taking the college entrance exam. Riding this wave of attention, I posted the pre-recorded video to my personal account. All this time, I've kept silent about my family. It's not what everyone thinks, about protecting privacy. It's because I come from an unfortunate family. The video contains photos I took and recordings I made, including my mother's slut-shaming remarks and how my parents favor Lin Jinyan. The video ends with the slap mark still visible on my face when I left home for the last time. I deliberately provoked Lin Jinyan and my parents. I've been planning for this day since my rebirth. Children pay a heavy price to morally distance themselves from their parents. Thankfully, my plan worked out. The video went viral immediately after posting. Parental favoritism is a common issue in multi-child households. Through my video, people began sharing their own relatable experiences. Making peace with oneself is a lifelong lesson for every child with family trauma. Thankfully, I've long outgrown the age of begging my parents for love, with video evidence. My parents' accusations against me lost all credibility. Lin Jinyan also caught considerable flack. The beauty system informed me that Lin Jinyan lost the academic prodigy system. Host, now that you've handled that issue, how do you plan to complete the mission? The beauty system seems puzzled. I barely even contact Su Lang these days, showing no intention to continue pursuing men. Fail the mission, and you'll lose everything just like Lin Jinyan did. I lowered my gaze with a faint smile. The mission will be completed. Of course, the account classmate Chingy served as my test case for the assignment, and it confirmed my theory was right. There are countless ways to find true love in this world. The capacity to love me isn't exclusive to men. After securing partial equity from Su Huan's commitment, I channeled the funds into several investment projects. These are all projects I knew from past lives. Guaranteed moneymakers. Su Huan began systematically sidelining his father, consolidating control of the family business while offloading shady dealings onto the old man. 17. My father can rot in jail, not me. Besides, all that dirty work was his doing. I checked the legal code. None of it carries the death penalty. Let me think it through, then I'll get my dad admitted. Well done, model son. No wonder we've been soulmates for 2 lifetimes. Professor Shilin's research findings were immediately implemented by Su Huan upon publication. In my past life, Fu Nianyu pursued me relentlessly for the Fu family's sake, and now in this life, he's obsessively chasing after Su Huan. See, this is how hypocritical a man's affection can be. If Lin Jinyan hadn't pinned her hopes on men so much, she probably wouldn't have lost her system for 2 lifetimes. The current Lin Jinyan never developed proper study habits, after losing her system's support. 2 years of retakes proved futile. She ended up hastily enrolling in a poorly reputed local college. Still unemployed, she now mooches off her parents. I once went back home and watched from a distance. Mom and Lin Jinyan were arguing at the neighborhood gate. Mom called her lazy and useless, saying we should have kept her sister instead. Lin Jinyan shot back mercilessly, saying she deserved it. This is what you owe me. You had it coming. I watched silently from behind the tree for a long time before walking away without a word. Lin Jinyan attempted suicide several times afterward but failed. Her mental state deteriorated, and she kept muttering about wanting to go back and make different choices. Sometimes I think Lin Jinyan and Mom are quite alike. They always shift blame onto others, never reflect on themselves, and simply avoid problems when they arise. If one can't face life's challenges head-on, it's understandable they'd end up with the wrong answers. After Lin Jinyan became like this, my parents repeatedly reached out to reconnect with me. They finally realized their younger daughter could no longer offer any benefits, while the eldest was thriving remarkably well. But they can hardly track me down these days. I'm too busy globetrotting while scouting potential projects. Su Huan called to ask, Are you planning to sponsor new girls from mountain regions this year? Absolutely. As long as I'm breathing, I'll keep running this education foundation. For years I've invested in girls' protection initiatives, championed rural women's education, and sponsored countless children determined to change their fate through learning. Students I sponsor also get internship opportunities at Su Huan's company. These hardworking young women have thrived. 2 of Su Huan's top assistants today were actually scholars supported by my foundation. The mysterious figure said we only get one chance to choose, yet after leaving the mountain village, everyone's shining in their respective fields. Fortune favors the diligent. After establishing the foundation, my mission objectives were gradually accomplished. This world has never lacked genuine love. The children I've sponsored have all given me their most sincere affection. On the day the final mission was completed, the beauty system bid me a solemn farewell. You're the most unconventional host I've ever encountered, but I genuinely adore you. May your future shine just as brightly. I'm not sure if this counts as a rags to riches story, but I know this, even without the beauty system's enhancements, I'll live my life to the fullest. Story 2, Song Lian and I were reborn at the same time, just like in his previous life. He came to marry me full of anticipation, but I refused. Song Lian was stunned. Why? We've been happily married for 50 years. I shook my head indifferently. After being called Mrs. Song all my life, I also want to have my own name. Song Lian didn't understand and thought I was throwing a tantrum. Without me, what else can you do? You wouldn't even be qualified to sweep the streets. He was waiting for me to regret it. After waiting for many years, he watched helplessly as I reached the peak, becoming someone he could no longer reach. 1. The day Song Lian was appointed as an honorary professor at the university happened to be our 50th wedding anniversary. Our 2 sons made arrangements and held a lively celebration party at home. During the dinner, a young female reporter interviewed me. Mrs. Song, if there is a next life, would you still be willing to marry Professor Song? She was only in her early 20s, full of vitality. Her deer-like eyes swept over the wedding rings on Song Lian's and my fingers, and her eyes were filled with yearning for love. I knew what she meant. Song Lian and I were well-known affectionate couple, and the media had reported on us several times. We were college classmates. During the educated youth movement, we were also in the same rural area. We stayed together through 60 years of trials and tribulations. I took care of our 2 children, managed household affairs, and looked after Song Lian's sick mother. Song Lian devoted himself to his career. Starting as an unknown poor student, he became a professor at a prestigious university, joined the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and acquired a great many honorary titles, with the man handling external affairs and the woman taking care of the household. It was a textbook-style marital model. Everyone thought I was very lucky. My husband had a successful career, and both of our sons graduated from prestigious universities and had good jobs and promising futures. But no one knew that beneath the glamorous exterior was a woman's life that went unnoticed. All these years, I hadn't been happy. I opened my mouth, and before I could speak, Song Lian had pushed through with a wine glass in hand, forcefully interrupting me. Of course she would. She has had a wonderful life. Our 2 sons also joined in the teasing. Mom was extremely lucky to marry Dad. Grandpa always said that our family's ancestral grave must have been emitting auspicious smoke. If there is a next life, Mom definitely won't let Dad get away. Song Lian twitched the corners of his mouth, and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes squeezed together, revealing a doting smile. I won't be able to get away. Your mother is very good at pestering people. The female reporter's eyes lit up, and she let out an exclamation. Professor Song, does that mean Mrs. Song pursued you back then? I was the one who pursued Song Lian. This fact had been reported by the media. The female reporter must have done her homework, so she couldn't possibly not know. When Song Lian heard her ask this, he pursed his lips proudly and repeated the same old story that he had told hundreds of times. I took the initiative to bring him meals and wash his clothes. When he was sick, I helped him with farm work. Since I took the initiative in this relationship, Song Lian had always been in a superior position, and I had to serve him all my life. This was what I deserved. The female reporter giggled and exclaimed, in those days, Mrs. Song was so brave, too. The word brave sounded surprisingly harsh to my ears. Ever since I married Song Lian, I had nothing to do with these 2 words. My mother-in-law was a shrewd and domineering woman, living together as a big family. Our habits in daily life, from food, clothing, housing to transportation, all had to follow their rules, from the arrangement of furniture to the pillowcases and quilts in the room. And even which fabric I chose to make clothes, I had no say. This indigo fabric is old-fashioned and ugly, wear the blue one tomorrow. I put it on your bedside, dear. This table lamp was placed on the bedside table just fine. Why did you move it to the chest? I kept hitting it when I waved my hand at night, and I was afraid it would break. Then be more careful. It's better to keep the table lamp on the bedside table. It's convenient for getting up at night. My mother-in-law put the table lamp back on the bedside table. Her narrow eyes squinted as she looked around the bedroom. She also opened the wardrobe door and rearranged the clothes according to her habits. Your pants can't be placed on top of Song Lian's. If a woman overpowers a man, how can that be good, Guan Yue? It's not that I'm criticizing you, but you're really not careful enough in your work. At first, I wasn't used to it and protested to Song Lian. He frowned and looked at me in surprise. Mom is doing this for our own good. Can't you just be more accommodating? Mom is older, and she knows more about these household matters than you. Just listen to her. In those days, people's thinking was conservative, and I didn't dare to contradict my mother-in-law, so I gave in. All these years, I endured my mother-in-law's dominance, Song Lian's nitpicking, the naughtiness of our two sons, and the contradict from my daughters-in-law. I gave in my whole life. In my small world, I endured step by step and retreated step by step. Finally, I shrank into a corner, living like a mere shell, and they called this a blessed life. Facing the yearning and envy in the young female reporter's eyes, I really couldn't bear to let her live in a false fantasy. 3. No, I wouldn't. I raised my voice and shook my head firmly. I don't want to marry Song Lian again, after being called Mrs. Song all my life. If I could live my life again, I also want to have my own name. The lively banquet hall fell silent instantly. The people around turned to look at me in surprise. The female reporter widened her eyes, clearly not expecting this answer. The smile on Song Lian's lips froze. He shrugged helplessly and held my hand tightly. This old woman, we had a little quarrel yesterday, and she's still angry. Look at you. How old are you? Everyone laughed, and the atmosphere at the dinner table became relaxed again. Our two sons shook their heads and complained, that's just Mom's temper. It's all thanks to Dad's tolerance. Mom, in front of so many people, you should give Dad some face. The youngest son shrugged. Mom has been spoiled by Dad. Everyone praised us, saying that Professor Song and his wife were so affectionate and were still acting like young lovers having a quarrel. Song Lian pulled me into the quiet study, closed the door, and the smiling expression on his face instantly turned cold. Guan Yue, what do you mean? Are you deliberately provoking me? He turned to look outside the glass door and lowered his voice. Is it because of the other day when I asked you to cook noodles for Zhou Hafeng? Look, she's already married. There's really nothing between us. Can't you be more magnanimous? Zhou Hafeng was one of Song Lian's female students. She was intoxicated by the extensive knowledge and refined demeanor of this tutor and once pursued Song Lian very passionately. Song Lian was tempted. He watched movies with Zhou Hafeng, accompanied her to the cafeteria for meals every day, patiently guided her with her studies, and even added her name to his long, prepared thesis. But that was all. Song Lian had a sense of measure. He had two sons, a wife who had accompanied him for most of his life, a stable family, a decent job, and a good reputation. He knew very well what was important and what was not. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, he coldly rejected Zhou Hafeng and even invited her to our home as a guest. Watching him cook in the kitchen with me and attentively tie an apron for me, Zhou Hafeng rushed out of our house crying. Later, she transferred schools at lightning speed and completely disappeared from our lives, until last year, when Zhou Hafeng's husband was transferred to Song Lian's school. They resumed contact. With the passage of time, they tacitly avoided mentioning the past. When Zhou Hafeng and her husband visited our home and talked about the past during the dinner, Zhou Hafeng smiled and said, the pork rib noodles made by the teacher's wife are extremely delicious. I used to share the teacher's lunch, and I still remember it vividly. That's nothing. Song Lian waved his hand. Guan Yue, go and make her a bowl of noodles. For, at that time, there was no real wrongdoing between them, and our sons were still young. Song Lian came home and told me that the female student was pestering him and asked me to help deal with this situation. So, I didn't hold it against him, but that didn't mean I was magnanimous enough to cook for her. Song Lian reached out and grasped my shoulders. I knew it was about this. In the end, you made an excuse of having a headache and refused to do it. And I didn't say anything, right? I didn't hold it against you. But now you're throwing a tantrum. Song Lian sighed, as Bolin said, you've really been spoiled by me. In front of so many people, you didn't give me any face. After a while, the youngest son also quietly came to the study and complained to me, Mom, the older you get, the more childish you become, you should know when to throw a tantrum. How can Dad face others after what you said, when you go out later? Smooth things over and say, looking at my son who was chattering and lecturing me. I felt a bit dazed. In the blink of an eye, Bolin had grown so big. From the little boy who clung to me all the time, he had grown into a man who had established his own family and career. He had his own career and his own ideas. He no longer called me Mom as he used to. Mom is just a useless housewife, has a job, well, the school arranged it out of respect for Dad, it's just a sinecure. And she only works half a day. Dad is the most amazing one. Mom raised us well. That's because of our good genes. We're smart, just like Dad. Dad is the one who works the hardest. Mom is just here to enjoy the good life. So, Mom's thoughts don't matter at all. 5. I felt very disappointed and didn't want to agree with my son anymore. I'm not throwing a tantrum. I raised my voice and repeated word by word. If I could do it all over again, I just want to live alone. Bolin didn't understand. Why, Dad treats you so well. As I said just now, I want to have my own name and my own career. Bolin sneered. Your own career, Mom, what can you do? You can't even make a pancake without burning it. Song Lian also shook his head. You're just talking big. Without me, what else can you do? Sweep the streets. The father and son exchanged a look and smiled tacitly. Bolin patted Song Lian on the shoulder. They say that the older people get, the more childlike their temper becomes. Look at Mom. Song Lian twitched the corners of his mouth. Yes, she's getting old and confused. As a family of respectable people, we wouldn't quarrel at the banquet, so the matter was dropped. At night, when the party was over, Song Lian took a shower and, as usual, lay in bed reading a book. After reading a few pages, he suddenly put down the book. Guanyue. About what happened during the day, were you serious? Do you really not want to be with me in the future? I shook my head again. Song Lian was stunned, and his eyes flickered slightly. After a moment, he stroked the back of my wrinkled hand with his rough fingers. I did have a moment of weakness, but over all these years, you know my character, Guanyue. The only person I've ever cared about is you. That was my mistake. We're both getting old. Can you stop holding on to it? Song Lian rarely admitted his mistakes, and he was only willing to do so in this matter. Once he admitted his mistake, I had to accept it, otherwise, I would be the one being unreasonable. But this time, I didn't want to accommodate him anymore. It has nothing to do with that. I just want to live alone and have some peace. Song Lian was angry. What do you dislike about me? Aren't I good enough? When you go out, everyone addresses you as Mrs. Song. What more do you want? I don't want others to call me Mrs. Song. I have a name. I'm Guanyue. I couldn't help raising my voice. I don't want to be your appendage. Song Lian was stunned for a moment and then exclaimed in surprise. I get it. You're jealous of me. You see that I got the honorary professorship, and you're envious. As he spoke, he burst out laughing. You're just a woman who cooks at home. Do you also want to be a professor? Now I know why you've been acting so strangely today. All right. That's enough of your empty talk. Don't I know you? You're even afraid of a mouse. Without me, you can't do anything. Song Lian concluded with a laugh. If you could do it all over again and didn't choose me, you would surely suffer a great deal. With your intelligence, you can't even do housework properly, and you want to be a professor. It's only me who can spoil you. Don't be ungrateful. I was ill-affected. You always say I'm stupid. Don't you remember that we were college classmates? I was one of the earliest female college students in that era. How could I be stupid? Song Lian sneered disdainfully. You were just lucky. If it weren't for the educated youth movement that started a year after you entered college, with your limited knowledge, you wouldn't even have been able to get a college diploma. All right, I'm too lazy to argue about these useless things. Go to sleep. 6. Song Lian turned off the light. I was plunged into darkness. He always liked to call me stupid. I'm from the south. I'm not good at kneading dough. I don't know how to pickle cabbage. And I'm not good at lighting the Kong, a traditional heated brick bed in northern China. My mother-in-law said that a stupid daughter-in-law like me was only suitable for their family. In other families with a bad-tempered mother-in-law, I would have been kicked out long ago. Song Lian tried to smooth things over, saying that I was a fool who was lucky. The more he said it, the more it seemed to become an established fact. When our children were admitted to prestigious universities, they also said that they inherited their intelligence from their father. If they were like me, it would have been a disaster. I didn't understand how I had ended up like this. Back then, I was the first female college student in our village. When I received the admission notice, I felt that the whole world was at my feet. I was full of pride. How did I become such an ordinary and incompetent housewife? In the dark, I quietly shed tears. Just like countless ordinary nights, I sat up half the night, lost in memories of the past and endless regret, until there was a faint light in the distance. Dawn was breaking. It was time for me to get up and make breakfast. Today, our 2 sons were bringing their grandchildren to visit. My grandson loves the buns I make the most. My granddaughter likes the preserved egg congee I cook. My daughter-in-law, who studied abroad, likes sandwiches, and Song Lian likes hand-pulled noodles. The whole family has different tastes, and it will take a long time to prepare. I lifted the quilt and sat up. A familiar yet strange figure burst into the room. "Oh, what time is it?" Song Lian coughed all night yesterday. "How could you still be sleeping? Get up quickly, you have to help him finish his work points today." The middle-aged woman was wearing a red floral jacket, with a black hairpin securing her hair. Her cheeks were ruddy and plump, and her eyes were narrow and long. She was holding a wooden basin in her arms, and the dirty clothes inside were piled high. "Wash these clothes on your way. I still have a lot of work to do in the fields, and I'm too busy." I stared at that unfamiliar yet vaguely familiar face for a while, feeling greatly shocked in my heart. Mother-in-law. My mother-in-law had been dead for more than a decade. Only after she passed away did I live a somewhat easier life for a few years. How could I see her again? I looked around. It was a rough earthen house, with a wooden table that had a lame leg, and the windows were pasted with dusty newspapers. Was this nanny village in the 1970s? Realizing that I had been reborn, I sat numbly on the bed, with a complex mix of emotions welling up in my heart. Seeing that I didn't move, my mother-in-law came over and pushed me. "What are you standing there for? You fool, you were stupid when you were young. I don't know what my son saw in you." My mother-in-law urged me impatiently. "Hurry up, wash the clothes first and then come find me in the fields." After saying that, she left in a hurry. I followed her, walking out of the room in a daze. Not far outside the door was a well. Several young women wearing headscarves were squatting by the well washing clothes. They were pounding the clothes with wooden pestles while chatting loudly. "Is Song Lian sick again?" "He's an educated youth from the city. He has the body of a young master. So delicate." "What's so delicate about it? It's been 7 years since he came to the countryside." "Right. He still hasn't adapted. Poor Guanyue, that silly girl, has to do work for his family again." "What's so pitiful about it?" "With Song Lian's good looks and the fact that he's educated, if it weren't for his difficult mother, I'd also ask my daughter to wash his clothes." I stopped in my tracks. 7 years in the countryside. I went to the countryside when I was 19 and married Song Lian when I was 27. Now it's the 7th year in the countryside, which means Song Lian and I aren't married yet. How dare they order me around like this then? 8. I tried to recall carefully. Since too much time had passed, I couldn't remember it very clearly. Back then, I finally managed to get into university from the poor countryside. I had just studied for 1 year when a special era came. All college students stopped their studies and went to the countryside to support rural construction. Song Lian and I were assigned to Nanny Village in Shaanxi. Song Lian was lucky. This village happened to be his mother's hometown. His father died early. When his mother saw that her son had returned to his hometown, she immediately packed her bags and came along. With the care of 3 uncles in the village, Song Lian's life was much better than that of other educated youths. At first, I didn't want to marry him. I still wanted to go back to school. Back then, despite the ridicule and disdain from those around me, I would read books under the kitchen stove by the light of a kerosene lamp every day after washing the clothes. My mother quarreled with my father and then with my grandmother every day because of me. She was like a fighting rooster, arguing with everyone, just to protect my unrealistic dream. The day I received the admission notice, she was so happy that she shed tears. She looked at the notice over and over again and pressed it under the bedside table with frosted glass. I knew our little girl would make it. She got into university and will become a city person in the future. Having a job with the government, she won't have to do farm work in the fields anymore. No one expected that after putting in so much effort. I just ended up moving from a rural area in the south to the north. I was still working in the fields, still doing farm work. As the sun rose and set, I raised my head from the yellow earth and looked at my rough palms. Suddenly, I found that the formulas and poems that I used to know by heart were as hazy as the moon in the water. The college life in the ivory tower seemed to have become a distant dream. At that time, everyone thought they couldn't go back. There were slogans and mottos all over the walls, saying that we should build the desolate nanny into an oasis in the northwest. How could we go back if we didn't build it? This was even something that couldn't be accomplished within one generation. I began to accept my fate and face the reality. In the village, I thought Song Lian was more to my liking. And we could talk well together, so I got close to him, tried to please him, and finally married him as I wished. Unexpectedly, just 1 year after we got married, the policy suddenly changed, and all of us educated youths could return to the city, and we would even be assigned jobs. However, there were more people than available jobs. The first batch of job positions was in short supply, and we had to queue up and wait. Originally, I also had a chance. By chance, I was pregnant at that time. The comrade in the office looked at me with an expression. Comrade Guanyue, this position is very tough. You have to go to the workshop every day and be busy until midnight. You often have to climb those high iron frames. In your situation, it's not suitable. You should wait a bit. In the next batch, I'll arrange an easier job for you. When the next batch of jobs came, my eldest son was born. My mother-in-law, who had always been strong and healthy, suddenly suffered from a headache. She couldn't touch cold water and couldn't stand noise. I could only take care of the child myself and gave up the opportunity again. Then, I gave birth to my second son. The two noisy boys drained all my energy, and I no longer had any ambition. When the children were a bit older and sent to the nursery, my mother-in-law suddenly had a stroke. In those days, we couldn't hire a nanny, otherwise, we would be cursed with gossip, saying that you were a landlady or a reactionary. I could only take care of my mother-in-law. In those few years, I bought groceries, cooked, washed clothes, fetched medicine, wiped my mother-in-law's body, picked up the two children from school, supervised them doing their homework, tidied up the messy home, washed them and put them to bed. By then, it was already midnight. The days repeated mechanically. When I suddenly realized it, I saw a strange face in the mirror, half-white hair, deep wrinkles at the corners of my eyes. No more vitality on my face, and my empty eyes were full of weariness and numbness. I had suddenly grown old. How did time pass so quickly? It seemed that I had done a lot of things, but it also seemed that I had done nothing. In my pale and empty life, I lived as someone else's daughter-in-law, someone else's wife, and someone else's mother, but not as myself. The higher Song Lian's status became, the less I had my own name. Everyone called me Mrs. Song. What about Guanyue? 9. Guanyue, Guanyue. The wooden pestle came down heavily, pounding the dirty coarse cloth clothes whose color couldn't be distinguished. The water splashed onto the surface of my shoes. Sister Chunfeng winked at me. What are you standing there for? Come and wash the clothes together. I saw Song Lian's mother bring you a big basin. Come quickly. If you don't hurry up, you won't be able to finish washing them. Aunt Hohop beside her pursed her lips. She really has the nerve. You're not even married yet. And she's already ordering you around like this. Guanyue, it's not that I'm criticizing you, but you have too good a temper. You'll suffer if you marry into their family. We should play hard to get and maintain some dignity. Another auntie beside them burst into laughter. You're almost 30, an old girl. What dignity are you still maintaining? It's already good that someone wants you, not to mention washing clothes. Even if she asks you to wash underpants, you'll rush to do it. I stared at her for a moment and remembered that she was Jing Tieju's mother. A few years ago, she had asked a matchmaker to propose marriage to me, but I refused, so she held a grudge and would find opportunities to say sarcastic things from time to time. I smiled at her. Let whoever wants to wash them do it. I don't have that spare time. After saying that, I picked up the hoe, held my head high, bypassed the well, and walked towards the collective field in the north. Tieju's mother was stunned for a moment and spat hard. Pa, what are you pretending for? When Song Lian's mother loses her temper later, you'll be crying. Song Lian's mother was wielding a hoe and working vigorously in the field. Seeing me come so early, she stopped in surprise, wiped the sweat off with her headscarf. Did you wash the clothes so quickly? Did you wash them carelessly? Did you use the pestle? You have to scrub off those mud stains. It's not that I'm ahem. Not that I'm criticizing you, Guanyue, you should be more careful when you work. Why are you always so careless? The others in the field continued with their farm work, but they all pricked up their ears and looked at this side with a gossipy expression. Under the gaze of everyone, I carried the hoe and walked towards the few acres of land I was in charge of. Mrs. Song, if you want something done, do it yourself. Only by working for yourself can you have enough food and clothing. From now on, You can do the work of your own family. I'll save my energy for building nanny village. I'm not a long-term laborer of your Song family. In those days, no one could refute the words in the quotations. When Mrs. Song heard me say this, her face immediately turned red with anger. She stammered you a few times. Finally, she slapped her thigh and cursed. Don't you want to marry Song Lian anymore? My son is sick. As his future wife, what's wrong with sharing some of the work? Don't put labels on me casually. Our Song family won't want a lazy woman. Mrs. Song shouted loudly. When the villagers saw this, they came over to persuade me one after another. They said that she just had such an impatient temper. Since I was going to live a good life with Song Lian in the future, I shouldn't talk back to my mother-in-law. I sneered. Mother-in-law, Song Lian and I are innocent. What kind of mother-in-law is she? Since everyone is here today, I'll make it clear, Song Lian and I only have the friendship of revolutionary comrades. I will definitely not marry him. As soon as I said this, everyone was greatly surprised. In the 1960s and 1970s, although arranged marriages were the mainstream in rural areas, free love was also becoming popular, especially in places like construction bases where there were many young people. Everyone knew that Song Lian and I were in a relationship. Mrs. Song had even found a marriage officiant and said that after the first month of the Lunar New Year, during the slack season in agriculture, she would arrange the wedding of Song Lian and me. Now that they heard me flatly deny it, everyone felt that something was wrong. Some people advised me, saying that it was understandable for young couples to have conflicts, but I couldn't talk nonsense in front of everyone. Song Lian had good looks and character and was very popular in the village. If I really made him angry and he left, I would regret it. Mrs. Song was so angry that she stamped her feet. I haven't disliked you yet, but you're being picky. My son will be very successful in the future. Many city girls are eager to marry him. What right do you have to say you won't marry? We don't even want to marry you. She had always been hot-tempered. When she was extremely angry, she slapped her thigh and could curse out all kinds of unpleasant words. Seeing the commotion, some busybodies had already run to find Song Lian. Just as well, you don't want to marry me off, and I don't want to marry. In the future, don't mention the matter between Song Lian and me. After saying this, I turned around and saw Song Lian standing on the ridge of the field. His young and energetic face had a familiar doting smile in his eyes. The next second, the smile froze on his face. Song Lian's face turned pale, and he staggered back a step. Guan Yue, are you still angry with me? Seeing his expression, I knew that Song Lian had also been reborn. After being together for 50 years, we knew each other too well. His posture, movements, eyes, and the scholarly air that came from living a comfortable life and being untouched by the world, as his students said. Professor Song looked noble, while Mrs. Song was different. I saw her bargaining with others at the vegetable market the other day. She was so vulgar. Song Lian was not only good-looking but also had an extraordinary temperament. Standing on the ridge of the field in a green military uniform, he was like a tall pine tree, making it impossible for the people beside him to look away. The crowd whispered in disgust. Why does Song Lian seem different from before? I think so too. He's especially handsome today. No wonder Guan Yue is so eager for him. She's not eager. Didn't she just say that she doesn't want to marry Song Lian? Is she bragging? She's throwing a tantrum now. With Mrs. Song's character, she'll probably have to kneel to get Song Lian back later. As soon as her son came, Mrs. Song had someone to rely on and became even more arrogant. Guan Yue, my Song Lian is right here. Do you have the guts to say those words again in front of him? I had already lowered my head and was waving the hoe vigorously. The hard soil mixed with broken ice was lifted up, and my words also splashed into Song Lian's heart like ice shavings. I, Guan Yue, will definitely not marry Song Lian in this life. I didn't look at him again. I only heard Song Lian coughing loudly, and his mother rushed over to support him excitedly. The crowd helped to take Song Lian back to the room, and the noise gradually faded away. After I finished my farm work, I watched Accountant You record my work points for me. Accountant You joked with me. Why did you suddenly break up with Song Lian, girl? Could it be that you're reluctant to part with the work points you've been doing every day? As he spoke, he flipped through the booklet and explained that Song Lian had been sick for 10 days this month, but his work points were still full. As for me, I only had half of the work points. I was afraid that I wouldn't even have enough to eat. I had an idea in my mind. Accountant You, the work points are only settled at the end of the month. Can the work points I did for Song Lian before be recorded back in my own account? Accountant You was surprised. Wow, you two have quite a big conflict, don't you? Are you serious? Yes, I won't help him with his work anymore in the future, hearing my firm answer. Accountant Yu hesitated for a moment and then nodded in agreement. All right, others may be afraid of the Jingning's 3 brothers. But I'm not. Uncle will stand up for you in this matter. If Mrs. Song doesn't agree, let her come and argue with me. The Jingning's 3 brothers were Song Lian's uncles. They were all tall and had some influence in the village. However, people in this era were still quite simple in their thinking. At most, they would take a small advantage and wouldn't make things difficult for others in important matters. After getting a positive answer, I felt greatly relieved. Being able to have enough to eat was the most important thing in this era. After a day of hard work, I returned home. As expected, Song Lian was waiting for me at the door. He clenched his fists and looked around warily. There were too many people just now, and it wasn't convenient to talk. Guanyue, shall we go in and talk? I nodded. Song Lian followed me into the room. He coughed a few times and commanded me familiarly, pour me a glass of water. I stood still and didn't move. Song Lian was stunned for a moment and then smiled bitterly. You've also been reborn, right? I knew it the first time I saw you just now. You had a very good temper when you were young. It's not like this at all. It's all because I spoiled you. How long are you going to be willful? I frowned when I heard this. Song Lian, I've told you several times, I'm not throwing a tantrum. I want to live my own life. I want to work. And I want to continue my academic research. I don't want to be trapped at home giving birth, taking care of children, and serving your mother. Don't you understand? Song Lian sneered, seeing my displeased expression. He quickly pursed his lips and raised his hands as if in surrender. You're just used to living a good life. Do you think working is that comfortable? Do you think doing academic research is that easy? You can even burn a pancake, and you can't remember what vegetables to buy. What else can you? I interrupted Song Lian. If you say any more nonsense, get out. Song Lian sighed. You're like a child. I can't reason with you. All right, if you want to work so much, then go work for 2 years. You'll still come crying to me in the end. I pushed him impatiently. I have nothing to say to you. Get out. I want to read a book. Song Lian took the opportunity to grab my wrist and smiled. Guan Yu, I'm almost forgetting what you looked like when you were young. Let me take a closer look at you again. Under the dim light, his eyebrows and eyes were filled with a gentle look, still carrying the old friendship. My heart suddenly skipped a few beats. After being married for so many years, it would be a lie to say that I have no feelings for Song Lian. It was precisely these tender moments that supported me through year after year of dull and boring marriage. Whenever I was unhappy, looking at Song Lian's face, most of my anger would dissipate. But this is also the biggest difference between him and me. When there were conflicts, after Song Lian coaxed me, I would give in, and life would return to its peaceful state. It seems that Song Lian would never give in because of me. He would say touching love words with the most gentle expression on his face, but what he handed over was a soft knife. Just listen to Mom. Go and apologize to him. This sum of money must be lent to my younger brother. Just do it for my sake. Okay. The poison was wrapped in icing, and the knife was wrapped in a beautiful ribbon. One knife after another cut off my edges and corners and smoothed out my self-esteem. I thought that was love. Only after living a whole life did I see clearly that it was just a means for men to achieve their goals. Looking at Song Lian's face leaning towards me, I took a deep breath and slapped him hard on the cheek. Are you being a pervert? Get out. I pushed Song Lian out of the door and closed the door tightly. Song Lian is a person with extremely strong self-esteem. In all these years of marriage, even when we quarreled, I had never shouted at him. I just spoke a little more quickly. Let alone hitting him. Now that he had been slapped by me, he was so angry that he didn't show up in front of me for several days. I also got some peace and quiet. I went to work on time every day and read books by the light of an oil lamp at night. I read and reread those college textbooks over and over again. The young mind is really efficient. I could memorize them after reading them a few times. I'm not the fool who can't do anything, as Song Lian said. I was filled with excitement and became more and more yearning for the life back in Beijing. Until the end of the month, the peace was broken. Song Lian's mother came to the door aggressively. I was reading a book in front of the lamp when she snatched the book from my hand and cursed. You heartless woman, you took away Song Lian's work points. What will he eat? He treats you so well, and you don't even care about his well-being. Do you really not want to marry him? My face turned cold. I've said it many times, I have nothing to do with him. Please don't bother me in the future. Song Lian's mother was so angry that she was shaking. and her finger almost poked at the tip of my nose. Guan, you're crazy. Have you considered Baiwen and Belan when you do this? If you don't marry Song Lian, how can you get pregnant next year? And how can Baiwen be reincarnated? I was stunned. Are you reborn too? No wonder. I vaguely remembered that before I married Song Lian. His mother was quite polite to me and didn't order me around so arrogantly and take it for granted that I should do the work. Song Lian's mother nodded angrily. Yes, I also have the memories of my previous life. To be honest, I don't think much of you at all. My Song Lian is so promising. I can have any daughter-in-law I want. It's just for the sake of my 2 grandsons that I agreed to let him marry you again. But look at you, you're putting on airs. You don't want to marry my son. A great professor. Who else do you want to marry? I don't want to marry anyone. I want to go back to Beijing and continue working. I had repeated these words several times and had already lost my patience. Can't Song Lian marry another woman? Can you please stop bothering me? Seeing my tough attitude, Song Lian's mother rolled her eyes and her tone softened again. You're still angry about the fact that I didn't agree to take care of Baiwen, right? I really have a headache. It's not fake. If you really want to work, it's okay. First, get married, have the baby, and this time I'll take good care of my health and help you take care of the child. I pointed my finger towards the door. If you don't go out, I'll call for help. Let's see how long you can be so stubborn. Seeing that I wouldn't be swayed by either soft or harsh words, Song Lian's mother angrily cursed at me and left in a huff. From that day on, I never did any work for Song Lian again. I earned my own work points and filled my own stomach. Song Lian's mother scolded me a few times. After being stopped by Song Lian, she would only roll her eyes at me when she saw me and would gossip about me with Tieju's mother. Song Lian came to find me many times. At first, he gave a bitter smile when facing my cold expression, but later he gradually became impatient. You're really going too far with your temper, Guan. My patience also has its limits. Don't you regret it later? I didn't even bother to say a single word to him. Half a year passed by in the blink of an eye. Soon, I received a notice from Beijing. The educated youths who had gone to the countryside could finally return to the city. This time, my job opportunity came after Song Lian's. Just like in his previous life, he chose an easy job and became a teacher at a high school. I could only go to the chemical factory and do the hardest and most tiring work at the grassroots level in the workshop. Song Lian frowned. Director Zhou, this isn't appropriate, is it? She's a woman, and the workshop has a strong smell. What's she doing at the grassroots level? Please look again. Is there any easier position? Song Lian was used to being a professor, and he still hadn't changed his bossy tone. When Director Zhou heard this, he immediately became unhappy. Hey, do you think this is your home? You can decide what job to take. Are you the mayor or the secretary of the party committee? There are plenty of people queuing up behind. Take it or leave it. I quickly interrupted. Director Zhou, I'm willing to do this job. Don't pay attention to him. Before I could finish speaking, Song Lian pulled me out of the office. Guan, there should be a limit to your nonsense. Song Lian had a serious expression and lectured me as he used to. The workshop of the chemical factory is not good for your health. Don't you want to get pregnant in the next few years? Baiwen is waiting for us. It was all about getting pregnant and Baiwen again. I completely lost my patience. Song Lian, are you crazy? I've said it, I won't marry you. There's no Baiwen, no Belan, there's only me. Can't you understand human language? Song Lian was furious. Over this past year, I've tolerated you time and time again. I agreed that you could work. But you can't be so selfish. Don't you even want the child? What on earth do you want to do? What did I want to do? I just wanted to be myself. Looking at Song Lian with a fierce expression, I only felt a deep sense of powerlessness welling up from the bottom of my heart. Song Lian always said that a husband's glory and a son's future were my crown, but I knew clearly that they weren't. They belonged to them, and in fact, I had nothing. Since getting married, I had been reduced to nothing. Becoming their nourishment, they sucked my blood, took up all of my time and energy, and bloomed dazzling flowers. Everyone could only see the flowers. Who would care about the soil in the pot? Occasionally, someone would praise, saying that this soil was good for raising people. Should I be grateful for that? Originally, I could have been a blooming flower too. Song Lian was still chattering in my ear, accusing me of being selfish and heartless. I could only raise my hand. Don't force me to slap you in public. Song Lian was shocked and finally shut up. I got the job as I wished. From then on, he was glorious and decent as a teacher. I was in a sorry state, becoming an ordinary female worker in the workshop of the chemical factory who wore a mask all day long and was covered in dust. When Song Lian's mother found out, she almost burst out laughing. I knew it. What could she achieve in her previous life? She benefited from you, but she didn't cherish it. How hard it is in that chemical factory. Just wait. She won't be able to hold on for 3 months and will come crying and begging us to marry her. She was wrong. I stayed in the chemical factory for 2 years, while working hard. I also prepared for the postgraduate entrance examination. I originally majored in chemical engineering in college, and I worked hard and actively. I was always rated as a March 8th red banner pacesetter every time, after being admitted to postgraduate school. The factory decided to send me to study at public expense. Coincidentally, Song Lian also took the postgraduate entrance examination of Huaqing University, and we met again on the university campus. Song Lian was very surprised. Guan Yu, why are you here? You came to find me, right? You knew I was studying here. Song Lian looked me up and down and puffed out his chest a little proudly. In my previous life, the school I attended was much worse than Huaqing University. Not just anyone can come here. After finishing my master's degree, I'm going to stay here as a teacher. I will go further than in my previous life. What about you? Couldn't you stand it in the factory anymore? Song Lian curled the corners of his mouth. I told you, it's quite impressive that you could hold on for 2 years. There were many lush trees by the lotus pond, spreading out a green dome above Song Lian's head. The mottled branches and leaves cast crisscrossed shadows above his handsome brow bones. Song Lian smiled and slowly reached out his hand to me. Over these 2 years, I've been waiting for you. As long as you obediently admit your mistake, my mother. The bell rang, and I hurriedly pushed him away. Class is starting. Excuse me. Behind me, Song Lian was left with an expression of shock that was out of control. Song Lian finally accepted the reality and admitted that I was also a postgraduate student of Huaqing University at the annual freshman assembly. As a representative, I went on stage to give a speech, under the spotlight. For the first time, it was me standing on the stage while he sat in the audience, squinting his eyes and looking at me with a look full of confusion and disbelief. In 2 lifetimes, he finally saw me. He no longer regarded me as an accessory, no longer looked down on me, but treated me as an equal. And even looked up at me a little, looking at me from below. Song Lian was quite emotional. Guan Yu, I think I know what you want. You've always been a competitive person. I shouldn't have said those things to you. I said you were stupid, but actually I liked you in my heart. Now, I admit that you're not stupid at all. Your postgraduate entrance examination score is much higher than mine. You're very capable. I admit that you're smart. Is that okay? Weren't your efforts over these years just to prove this to me? I held my books and walked around him. Song Lian, you don't understand at all. I didn't do it for you to see. This is not enough. It's far from enough. I want the whole world to see me. Song Lian stood there, stunned. After a moment, his gaze swept over the heroic young man at the entrance of the library, and he suddenly understood. You lied to me. I knew it. You came here for Lin Jiaxi, right? Lin Jiaxi is 8 years younger than me. In his previous life, he entered the Chinese Academy of Sciences at a young age and achieved much more than Song Lian. When I saw him on the news, I even forgot about the tea I was pouring, and the hot water poured onto Song Lian's hand. The Institute of Chemistry of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It's the highest place that every chemistry student can reach. I really envied that. Song Lian thought I was looking at Lin Jiaxi and was so angry that he jumped up and down. How old are you? Aren't you ashamed to look at a young man like that? Now, decades of speculation had been confirmed. Song Lian's face turned pale, and his lips were trembling with anger. You've been thinking about him for so long. You're simply, you. Lin Jiaxi was very lucky. During the turbulent years, he was in junior high school. Classes were suspended, and he wandered around the streets having fun. He didn't waste so many years in the countryside like us. He was still young when he was studying for a postgraduate degree and was in his prime. We were in the same class. Whenever he saw me, he would always call me senior sister respectfully. Senior sister, I've saved the seat for you. Are we still reading until 9 o'clock today? Shall I go and get your dinner? Song Lian rushed over and grabbed his collar. Guan Yu is my wife, you little gigolo. Don't even think about it. Lin Jiaxi didn't show any weakness and punched him in the nose. Who's a gigolo? You're the gigolo. Are you crazy? The two of them got into a fight. As expected, each of them was scolded. Fortunately, they didn't receive any punishment because they admitted their mistakes sincerely. Lin Jiaji also learned about the past between me and Song Lian in the countryside because of this. He was very disdainful of it. What a small-minded person, a man like this should be dumped. I regarded this as the most ordinary little episode, but Song Lian was greatly affected by it and almost couldn't recover. Originally, I had told him many times that I wasn't interested in him and didn't want to marry him. He never took it seriously, but when Lin Jiaji appeared, he completely believed it. Perhaps, in his opinion, the only thing that could defeat a man was another man. Song Lian completely broke down and blocked me downstairs in the dormitory with red eyes. Guan Yu, his voice was choked with sobs, and he was crying so hard that he could hardly speak. 50 years of marriage, you tell me, do you really not care about me at all? Weren't we happy together? How could you fall in love with someone else? How could you? It's me who's a professor. I didn't despise you for being stupid or incompetent. Why are you the one abandoning me? His high self-esteem was shattered into pieces, and he couldn't bear it. I just looked at him calmly. I'm not stupid, and I'm not incompetent either. You think I'm stupid because in the name of love, you confined me to the fields I wasn't good at and forced me to do things I wasn't good at. I served your whole family, old and young, for 50 years. It's you who were happy, not me. Song Lian clenched his fists. You weren't happy. Over all these years, how have I wronged you? Didn't I starve you? Didn't I provide for your food and clothing? It was ridiculous. Originally, I could have had my own job. No matter whom I married, I wouldn't starve myself. How could he think that the things I originally had were his gifts? When the conversation is not going well, even half a sentence is too much. I was too lazy to pay attention to Song Lian anymore. I went back to the dormitory and went to bed early. My roommate said that he had stood downstairs for most of the night and asked me to go and persuade him. It's so windy outside, don't let him get sick from the wind. The stronger the wind, the better. Maybe it can blow some sense into his pedantic head. It was not until the security guards on patrol at the school drove Song Lian away. The next day, Song Lian didn't show up. Instead, his mother came to make a scene. She said that he had wasted so many years for me. And now he was already 30 years old. If he didn't get married soon, I would make the Song family have no descendants. If you want to have a baby, go find someone else. The bloodline of your Song family has nothing to do with me at all. Looking at my indifferent and tough attitude, Song Lian's mother burst into tears. I misjudged you. I thought you were an honest person. It turns out that you've always looked down on our Song Lian. You have no ability at all. Yet you have such lofty ambitions. I'll just wait and see who will marry an old maid like you. Without our Song Lian, who would want you? Just as she finished speaking, Lin Jiaji poked his head in from outside the door. Guan Yu, would you do me the honor of going to the movies with me tonight? Song Lian's mother's face froze. She mumbled something in her throat for a long time, then suddenly slapped her thigh. You're that gigolo, you're breaking up a family. You. Lin Jiaji gave a cold snort. Watch your mouth. I just beat up Song Lian yesterday. Don't push me to hit you too. I don't have the rule of not hitting women. When Lin Jiaji was young, he had a bit of a ruffian air. He was half a head taller than Song Lian. He wore a green military uniform, with his sleeves rolled up to his shoulders, revealing his well-defined muscles. Song Lian's mother shrank her neck. Son, don't be deceived by her. She's already 30 years old this year. She's been married and has even given birth to 2 sons, Lin Jiaji said. So what? I just like women older than me. Mom, stop making a scene. Song Lian's face was deathly pale. He stumbled in and dragged his mother away. He took a hasty glance at me and shed tears. Guan Yu, since you want to choose him, I'll let you have your way. After the mother and son left, I turned around helplessly and looked at Lin Jiaji. What are you getting involved for? Did you do it on purpose to make Song Lian angry? Lin Jiaji raised his chin. Yeah, I want to make him mad. I was silent for a moment and felt that I still needed to explain. I haven't given birth to any children. Lin Jiaji's eyes lit up, and the smile on his lips gradually widened. I don't care, Guan Yu. I interrupted him. I think there are some parts of that thesis you wrote that don't seem right. I understood what Lin Jiaji meant, but I don't have the time now. Nor the energy to spare for romantic affairs. Lin Jiaji lowered his eyes in disappointment. Okay, we'll talk about it later then. Half out of disappointment and half as revenge on me. After that, Song Lian quickly married a girl from the city. She had a good family background and was also very pretty. A year passed, and the 2 of them had a lovely son. Song Lian regained some of his vitality and deliberately showed off his son in front of me by holding him. Guan Yu. When are you and Lin Jiaji going to get married? At that time, I was already studying for a doctorate at Huaqing University. However, Song Lian didn't keep up with the rhythm of his previous life. The girl from the city also had a decent job and refused to give up her golden for the sake of the child. She went to and from work as usual and completely left the child to Song Lian's mother. Song Lian's mother's headache flared up again, and the whole family was in chaos. Since there was really no one to take care of the child, Song Lian could only take care of the child while going to work, so naturally, he didn't have extra time to read books. His plan to pursue a doctorate was delayed. Song Lian didn't care too much. It was just a delay of 2 or 3 years, and it didn't matter much. After he graduated, he successfully stayed on as a teacher at the university. Now he was a lecturer at Huaqing University. And his starting point was much higher than in his previous life. At worst, he would just follow the original path again. He could afford to wait. He didn't know what kind of whirlpool those trivial family matters and everyday nuisances could drag a person into. At this moment, he was still full of enthusiasm and thought he was a winner. You're not young anymore either. You should urge him. If it's a few years later, you won't even be able to have a child. I buried my head in writing notes. He went to pick up his girlfriend to go to the movies. Lin Jiaji and I have no relationship at all. Song Lian was greatly surprised. You're not together. That's not right. I heard Lin Jiaji say that he has feelings for you. Yes, I rejected him. I'm focused on my studies now and don't have the time to think about other things. Song Lian opened his eyes wide, looking completely puzzled. Wait, Guan Yu. I really don't understand you anymore. Why are you doing this? You're a woman. Don't you want a family, children, or even a lover? Without being loved, how lonely and solitary your life will be. I stopped writing and looked at him seriously. Does a woman have to have love? From childhood to adulthood, all the films, TV works, novels, and the social atmosphere have been instilling this proposition in women. Little girls grow up with the longing for a Prince Charming, but the dreams of little boys are to go on adventures, to explore the distant stars and the vast sea. But why? Is love really that important for women? Without love, can't a woman find self-consistency, have an independent and complete inner core, and can't she live a peaceful and happy life alone? I married for love. I loved Song Lian my whole life. To be fair, Song Lian also loved me. Did I gain happiness? His love meant that I had to bear children for him, take care of the household, leave my familiar family and come to a completely strange family, smooth out my edges and corners, and get covered in blood and scars to fit in with them. Compared with most women, I've already had a relatively good life, but I'm still not happy. Only those who benefit from the existing situation will keep promoting it, making you make choices that are beneficial to them. Why do I have to abide by this game rule? Song Lian was stunned for a moment, and then he showed his familiar sneer. Without love, what should a woman want? Power, status, money, and reputation. These are what women have been lacking the most for thousands of years. I also sneered. Forget it, you won't understand even if I tell you. I'm going to study abroad for a few years. We probably won't see each other again in the future. I walked a long way. Song Lian was still holding the child, looking dazed and frozen in place. When I returned after completing my studies abroad, in just 2 years, I overcame a technical problem and won a national award. In the same year, I joined the Chinese Academy of Sciences and won a large number of international honors. At that time, I was just over 40 years old. A woman at 40 is like a flower, but Song Lian had already been worn out like rotten bean curd. He was exhausted from being tormented by his 2 sons and had long given up the idea of studying. He was still a lecturer, but he often made mistakes. The school leaders talked to him several times, saying that if he continued to mislead students like this, he should be transferred to an idle position in the office. When he was so scolded that he couldn't lift his head, there was a commotion in the office. The office director rushed out in one stride and shook my hand warmly. Professor Guan, oh, didn't we agree that I would send someone to pick you up at the airport at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Why did you come here yourself? It's all the same. It's also convenient for me to drive. I smiled politely. When I turned my head, I saw Song Lian with a pale face, shrugging his shoulders and trying his best to make himself disappear. Mr. Song is here too. The director was surprised. Do you know each other? I nodded. Yes, we're old acquaintances. The director smiled. I see, Mr. Song. Then let's have a casual dinner together tonight. We're going to give Professor Guan a welcome dinner. From this year on, she will be the honorary professor of our school. Song Lian's eyes shook, and his lips trembled slightly. He stared at me, unable to say a word for a long time. After a while, he embarrassedly lowered his head. No need, I still have to pick up my 2 sons from school today. Another day, another day. Song Lian stumbled out of the office. The director curled his lips behind him. He's so unrefined. A grown man has been dragged down like this by family matters. Not to mention, the wife he married she's really nice, I know her. She's a very nice person and has a strong sense of ambition in her work. It's taken for granted that a woman is burdened by her family. When these trivial matters fall on a man, everyone will feel sorry for him and blame that woman. But what's her fault? She's just doing what all men would do. The director forced a smile and agreed, since even Professor Guan approves, she should indeed be very good, haha. On the day I won the Nobel Prize, the school held a very grand press conference. I sat on the stage, Song Lian's family sat in the audience. Song Lian's mother looked at me with hatred in her eyes. What's so great about her? She's old and still unwanted. Song Lian's 2 sons retorted, Grandma, are you crazy? At her level, what man is worthy of her? Song Lian's mother snorted angrily, what level? I used to ask her to wash the dishes and clothes, and she didn't dare to say a word. She wouldn't dare to go right when I told her to go left. You must be suffering from dementia. Dad, take Grandma to the hospital for a checkup. Song Lian's mother was extremely angry. How can you 2 talk to Grandma like that? You've been spoiled by your mother. You're not good at studying. You can't even get into an ordinary high school. My previous grandson graduated from Huaqing University. Do you even deserve to be called Balan and Bowen? You 2 are good for nothings. Song Lian's wife wasn't going to put up with her. She immediately retorted, what do you mean I spoiled them? Mom, you can't be so ungrateful. Didn't my mom take care of you when you had a stroke a few years ago? How can you be so ungrateful? It seemed that the 2 sides were about to start arguing again. People in the audience all looked at them, and the security guards also walked in this direction. Song Lian blushed with embarrassment. Stop making a racket. What kind of place is this? If you keep arguing, get out of here. Finally, it quieted down. Song Lian raised his head and looked at me under the spotlight. There were faint tears in his eyes. When it came to the audience's question and answer session, Song Lian couldn't wait to stand up and grab the microphone. Guan Yu, Professor Guan, I want to ask you. Song Lian's gaze circled around his 2 sons and then he asked me with a hint of relief, do you think your life is complete? Aren't you really regretful that you didn't get married in this life and don't have your own children to carry on your legacy? I raised my head and looked at the bright red banner hanging above the auditorium. Warmly congratulate Chinese scientist Guan Yu on winning the Nobel Prize. Chinese scientist, Guan Yu. I curved my lips. Yes, I don't have my own children, but I have them. I stretched out my hand and pointed to the audience. Most of them were students majoring in my field. They read the books I wrote, the papers I wrote, and listened to my lectures. They don't look like me, but they think like me. I don't have children to inherit my genes, but I have students to inherit my thoughts. In the long river of time, genes may be interrupted, but brilliant civilizations will last forever. My life is very fulfilling. Thunderous applause rang out in the auditorium. It lasted for a long time. Epilogue 1. I walked out of the hotel arm in arm with my young boyfriend and accidentally bumped into Song Lian. Song Lian was stunned for a few seconds, his eyes full of disbelief. Didn't you say that you don't need love? I shrugged. Not having men in my eyes doesn't mean not having men by my side. Now that my career has reached its peak, the tight string in me has relaxed. It's understandable to have some entertainment. I'm just an ordinary person and also have worldly physical desires. Don't expect me to be a saint just because I've achieved great success in my career. The path that successful women walk is already difficult enough. Don't forcefully add moral labels to us. A look of being deceived flashed across Song Lian's face. How can you be so shameless? You're corrupting public morals. You. Before he could finish speaking, several security guards rushed over nervously. Professor Guan, are you okay? Who is this person? Do you want us to drive him away? I nodded indifferently. He's a crazy fan. Song Lian was quickly dragged away. His thoughts were really ridiculous. When a man reaches the peak of power and becomes an emperor with 3,000 concubines in his harem, no one will accuse him of corrupting public morals. Why can't a woman do the same? This is the old society's discipline for women. I took care of the household affairs, took care of Song Lian's sick mother, and raised 2 children. I look forward to the day when everyone takes this as a matter of course. Epilogue 2. When I was invited to give a lecture at a certain university, I met a very enthusiastic student. Her name was Zhou Hafan. She was so excited that she waved her arms and pushed through the crowd to get in front of me. asking me to sign her notebook. Professor Guan, you have such a good temperament. I was completely mesmerized when I listened to your lecture. What you said was so great. Zhou Hafeng's face was flushed, and she boldly joked, if you were a man, I really want to marry you. The young girl's eyes were shining brightly, full of admiration and longing. I took her notebook and shook my head with a smile. Don't marry me, be me. The essence of a girl's admiration for the strong is also a longing for power and success. But the social discipline that exists everywhere from childhood to adulthood makes them only want to be the ones illuminated by the moonlight. They never think that when the light shines on you, you can indeed be seen, but when the light moves away, you have nothing, you should become the moon. Zhou Hafeng was stunned and looked down at the name on the notebook in a daze. Guan Yu. Story 2. For a long time, my entrepreneur boyfriend and I subsisted on plain steamed buns in our rented apartment until one day, I saw his name on a list of young entrepreneurs. Not only was he the CEO of a rival company, but he was also worth billions. 1. On my birthday, my boyfriend used a generic, unpackaged supermarket cake for my birthday cake. He inserted a candle into the small cake, smaller than my palm, that he had freed from its vacuum packaging, and turned off the lights, telling me to make a wish. I stared at the flickering candle in the dark. Eventually, I reached out and tousled his fuzzy hair, then vigorously rubbed his slightly coarse but pleasantly textured short hair. Wang, this is what you bring for my birthday cake. Do you think you're being funny? In the dark, he grabbed my wrist and then simply pulled me into his embrace. But last year, when I ordered a cake for your birthday, you scolded me for wasting money. His voice carried a hint of hurt. This year, I didn't waste money. How good are these unpackaged French-style cakes? Cheap, economical, and we can eat them for 3 more days. 2. Me and my boyfriend, Wang Qingqing. We are known as the poor couple of Building 21, Unit 4 in our complex. Perhaps because I had once vigilantly watched over the fish sold by our neighbor, Wang Dajia, at the supermarket downstairs, so, she always loudly proclaims in the hallways that I am a young person who's unambitious and only after cheap deals. I leaned on the sofa, trying to use my feet to adjust the oscillating fan. Suddenly, someone grabbed my ankle. Wang Qingqing held my ankle with one hand while adjusting the fan's angle with the other. Don't sit in the draft all day, you'll catch a cold. A cold? I tugged at my collar to show him, I'm sweating like this, and you're talking to me about catching a cold. He lifted his thin eyelids to look at me, and I felt that if it weren't for his handsome face, I'd have surely kicked him. So, women really are contradictory creatures. He gave me a supermarket cake for my birthday, and I was still mad, but I didn't say anything. I wanted him to figure out why on his own. I watched as he gently released my ankle and slowly moved closer. And those eyes, growing increasingly dim, after 5 years with Wang Qingqing, I know him too well. I quickly grabbed a cushion to shield my chest. Listen, Wang Qingqing, not today, I'm not in the mood. Suddenly, my wrist was pulled. When I opened my eyes, there was a small watch on it, quite pretty. 3. This really was the most beautiful watch I had ever seen. It had many small, diamond-like details that sparkled as I moved my hand. Of course, I didn't actually think they were real diamonds. I tapped the arm of the person next to me. Hey, how much was this watch? He glanced at the watch on my wrist and then replied, 200 or 300, bought it online. Oh, I nodded, turned off the lights to save electricity, leaving only the TV on. I admired my new watch in the flickering light of the TV, its tiny, brilliant lights shimmering like a galaxy. Such a beautiful watch, and not even expensive. I was even more pleased. And I leaned over and kissed the corner of the mouth of the person next to me. He raised his eyebrows, and then, what happened next, went along with the TV and the gently swaying fan. It didn't matter anymore. The next day, when I went to work, I wore that watch. It was a delicate lady's watch, adorned with tiny diamonds that sparkled brilliantly under the sunlight. My colleague, Xiao Lu, sitting next to me noticed it and playfully nudged my shoulder with a grin. Did your boyfriend give it to you? I nodded, though in truth, I'm quite the social butterfly. Most of my friends knew I had a boyfriend who was currently trying to start his own business. It looks really nice, must be expensive, right? I shook my head, about to say it was just 200 or 300 online, then another sharp, piercing voice chimed in, not expensive, after all, it's a fake watch. I always felt that Lin Yuyu wasn't here to work, but rather to strut her stuff on a runway. As she approached, a strong scent of perfume wafted from her. Flipping her hair, she showed us her phone. On the screen was a picture of a watch identical to the one on my wrist. The price tag underneath read 28.59, 999 yuan. that price was something I'd have to count for a while to comprehend. Your poor boyfriend could never make that much money in his lifetime, could he? She glanced at me sideways. I looked down at my wristwatch and nodded. Right, this watch is really just 200 or 300, and the little diamonds might even be glass, but what can I do? My boyfriend only has 200 or 300, so he bought me this watch. He's faithful, and he treats me well. Wasn't your boyfriend the one who, in front of everyone last time, came in with his arms around two girls? Lin Yuyu's boyfriend is the son of one of our company's directors, a typical rich playboy, known for his flirtations, and Lin Yuyu had put in a lot of effort to latch onto him. My words evidently stung her. Her face alternated between pale and flushed. I don't even know where you get the nerve to wear a fake watch. You just love knockoffs, don't you? Isn't that disgusting? She was clearly flustered, but I wasn't one to back down. I'll wear whatever I want. It's none of your business. If you think it's disgusting, I'll wear 100 yuan knockoff tomorrow. I'll hang them on the wall, right in front of you. There's a saying, shamelessness is invincible. I think Lin Yuyu nearly choked with fury because of me, but perhaps it was fate playing tricks, because on my way home from work, I ran into Lin Yuyu again. At that moment, she looked as if she could almost hook her smile to the sky. Her boyfriend had come to pick her up in his convertible Maserati. Of course, that alone wouldn't have made her so triumphantly boastful. The key was, parked beside her boyfriend's sports car, was my boyfriend's little electric scooter. As she passed by, Lin Yuyu almost seemed to wish she could crush her high heels. Getting into the car, she even waved at me. Bye-bye. Oh Lu Huan. You must have a long way to go on that little electric scooter. Hope it doesn't run out of power halfway. As I watched them drive off, I sat on the back seat of Wang Qingqing's little scooter. Someone's waist felt very comforting, and I suppose that was my only consolation right now. What's wrong? Wang Qingqing raised an eyebrow and asked me. I told him it was nothing, and asked him to keep riding. The evening breeze was actually quite soothing, and sometimes the shadow of the towering skyscrapers can be truly awe-inspiring. But the real kicker, when I saw the traffic jam during rush hour, and Lin Yuyu and their sports car stuck in the middle of it, I couldn't help but laugh. Clearly, they had been stuck there impatiently for quite some time, so I waved at them from the back seat of my little electric scooter. I threw her words back at her. Bye-bye. We sped off, riding through the streets. I laughed so hard I was bending forward and backward. Wang Qingqing, slightly exasperated, told me to sit properly. Do you know, as the wind whistled past, I wrapped my arms around his waist and spoke to him. There are two types of people I hate in this life. One is the rich, the other is liars. Suddenly, the electric scooter braked sharply, and I bumped into his back, rubbing my nose. I pinched his waist in annoyance. What's up? The man paused for a moment, then shook his head. It's nothing. The light bulb at home was broken. As I looked up, he skillfully climbed onto the chair and the dining table to replace the bulb that wouldn't light up. Wang Qingqing, tell me. I fiddled with the packaging of the new bulb, aimlessly nagging him. Do you think rich people are superior? As his pale fingers screwed in the bulb, I suddenly remembered, at the beginning of our relationship, he also knew nothing about these things. One thunderous night, the power went out suddenly, and we huddled in the corner of the living room, only to realize the next day that it was just the circuit breaker that hadn't been switched on. Since then, he had started learning to fix these things. After he fixed the light, he nodded for me to turn it on. I pressed the switch, and after a flicker or two, the living room was bright again. The man jumped down. He took a couple of sips from the glass I had just used. His Adam's apple moved up and down, quite seductively. Seeing that I kept staring at him, he sighed and responded. Don't overthink it, everyone is equal. Oh, then Wang Qingqing. He glanced at me with a lift of his thin eyelids as he drank water. When are we getting married? He almost spit out his water. I knew my timing was off. He was starting a business, short on money, and my mother said, not looking for a perfect match, but at least the man I marry should be able to afford a beef noodle breakfast costing 20 yuan every morning. Right now, let alone beef noodles. Even a bowl of plain vegetable noodles for 7 or 8 yuan was a consideration for us. Huan, about this, he habitually thought over it, tapping his fingers on the table. I need to prepare. Yes, he needed to prepare, and I actually have a lot of faith in Wang Qingqing, although he hasn't achieved much in the past few years and has been poor alongside me. He was a brilliant student in college, a well-known talent in our school. Even that stern professor affirmed that he would achieve great things in the future, and so, the matter of marriage was once again put on hold. Before going to sleep, I flipped through the calendar. Ching and I had been together for over 5 years, but we still hadn't met each other's parents. I curled up in the soft, cozy bed, calculating how much money I could save after everyday expenses. His backpack was almost worn through, and I wanted to get him a new one before the year was out. Ching starts work earlier than I do. As I stirred my thin porridge with chopsticks, tousling my hair, he hugged me from behind as usual and kissed me. He kisses me in a different spot each day. Today it was on the tip of my ear. He should have left after the kiss, but he lingered, leaning on the table for quite some time. After a pause, he asked, Juan, do you really hate liars that much? Sometimes his questions come out of nowhere. I nodded and tugged at his tie, squinting at him. Ching, are you hiding something from me? His gaze was deep. When I pulled him closer, he looked at me without restraint. He smiled like a sly fox. No, wifey, he's definitely hiding something, but I couldn't figure out what. Like usual, I slid into my office seat just before the clock-in deadline, but today, there was something unusual on my desk, a gift box containing a lady's handbag. No one answered when I asked whose it was. Lin Yuyu, who was quite arrogant the day before, now looked at me as if I were her sworn enemy. I was utterly confused. Then someone gently tapped on my desk. Hi, I picked this bag for you. Hope you like it. The one propping on the desk and smiling at me with a lifted fringe was Lin Yuyu's boyfriend, a company executive and a rich second generation. Lin Yuyu looked so annoyed. It was as if he wasn't her boyfriend at all, but my impression of him could be summed up in 9 words. The company's foolish rich second generation. Judging his intelligence by human standards wouldn't be appropriate. He'd be better measured against a primate. Clearly, something went wrong yesterday on that Maserati. He took an interest in me, who was sitting on the back of an electric scooter. My day was extremely annoying. It seemed wherever I went, he had to follow, even saying, "Woman, you've caught my attention." When I came out of the ladies' room and saw him still standing there with his arms crossed, I couldn't take it anymore. Mr. Chin, I'm sorry, but I have a boyfriend. Oh, but you're not married yet, are you? I rolled my eyes at him, but he kept talking calmly. There's a dinner party tonight, join me. I ignored him and walked away in my high heels. It seems like one unpleasant thing follows another. This afternoon, Ching told me he had a dinner party and wouldn't be home for dinner. I sent him a sulking cat emoji in annoyance, and he replied with a puppy emoji that seemed to brace for a scolding. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a car horn behind me. A car enthusiast friend once told me that you could tell the price range of a sports car just by its horn, but I thought the sports car Chin drove was the worst. The rich second generation who had been bothering me all day was now slowly driving his sports car behind me. Didn't I tell you to join me at a dinner party? The sun had set and he was still wearing sunglasses. I thought he must be out of his mind. Miss Liu, I can't help it if you don't respond to me, but I don't want to get fired, do you? As I settled into the passenger seat of his Maserati, I was reminded of last night's conversation with Ching. Are the wealthy really a cut above the rest? For someone like me, gripped by the throat of money, the answer is yes. I thought Chen was going to take me to some work-related dinner, but apparently, I underestimated just how shameless he could be. He brought me to a private club. The lobby was quite upscale, but my impression of such places was only that the prices were ludicrously high for fools to pay, and luxury cars came and went as if they didn't cost a penny. A few pretentious garden scenes were set up, and they charged you an exorbitant fee as if it were a tax on your intelligence. However, it wasn't my wallet being drained. No matter the cost, I was indifferent. I had the misfortune of witnessing how a rich young heir could spend money like water, and soon realized, Chen probably wanted to get me drunk, but he likely didn't know. I've been able to outdrink adults since I was 15 during New Year's visits. I picked up the bottle, ready for more. When I caught sight of a circle of men slumped around, Chen was slurring something, arm around his cronies. Guard the drink, tisk, not a single one who could really hold their liquor. I stood up, looking for the restroom. The club had rented out an entire courtyard. It looked small from the outside but was actually quite complex inside. At first, I couldn't find my way. Later, I couldn't keep walking, because I saw someone who looked strikingly similar to Ching. I feared my vision was blurred from drinking too much, so I paused and followed him. He was with 2 other men. I took a deep breath. At our company's annual meeting, we always invited important figures, and I remembered Li He because he was young, and he managed his family's company efficiently. At that moment, this distinguished man was bending slightly to light Ching's cigarette. I stepped forward to see if it really was Ching. I bumped into a small ornamental pile of pebbles. The noise wasn't loud, but the courtyard was very quiet at night. Suddenly, I found myself locking eyes with the three of them, as I confirmed that the man in the suit and tie, who was being nodded and bowed at, was indeed one.She. He immediately spat out his cigarette and quickly passed it to someone next to him. He explained in one breath, "I'm not smoking, honey." It was him. The person next to him almost dropped his lighter in shock. Then one.She patted his shoulder and bowed his head with a smile. "Mr. Lee, thank you for the cooperation. I'll contact you on Monday. I need to take my wife home." In the taxi, I slowly recalled the scenes and details of what had just happened. I suddenly turned to look at the person next to me. "one.She. Are you?" He sat up straight, looking me in the eye. "Are you blackmailing Mr. Lee? Why do I feel like he's a bit afraid of you? We shouldn't be doing anything illegal or disorderly." The man seemed to breathe a sigh of relief and smiled with raised eyebrows. "No, honey, I didn't," he reassured me. "Mr. Lee is a nice person, quite enthusiastic and polite." I always felt that his smile was fake, though I couldn't pinpoint exactly what about it seemed insincere. As we got out of the car, he held on to my wrist as we walked. From the entrance of the residential area to our building, there was a bit of a distance. The streetlights cast patches of light on the somewhat cluttered path. He seemed distracted today. Juan. It was only after we entered the house that he firmly grasped my wrist. "We'll have to go on a business trip in a few days, and I'll be gone for quite a while. If you need anything while I'm away, just call me." I nodded and hummed in acknowledgement. That night, he hugged me from behind and slowly kissed my neck. After 5 years together, some things seemed to be communicated with just a shift in gaze. Just like one.She shouldn't have been at that private club, nor should I have been there. I don't know what he thought, because he never asked. I just felt that night, he was a bit mad and quite restless. one.She left. I had packed his bags for him and drove him to the airport. Before he left, he leaned down to kiss my forehead. The days that followed were rather uneventful. Chen had shifted his focus elsewhere. And my ongoing verbal spats with Lin Yu continued. She seemed to enjoy targeting my lack of wealth, but it didn't matter to me. I'm not afraid of those who have more when I have nothing to lose. Being called poor wasn't new to me. Even the lady selling fish next door had more bite than her. I video called one.She every day. He seemed to always stay in a very cheap motel. I suggested he stay in a nicer hotel, but he refused. He said, "How can I justify staying in an expensive place when my wife is living in a rental? Living alone can sometimes be more economical than living as a couple." As the end of the year approached, work became busier. Not only that, but Lin Yu had finally managed to get close to our company's supervisor. Thanks to her, a lot of her work started piling up on me, so much so that when I got home, I had neither the time nor the energy to cook, and despite the cost, I had to order takeout. Then, something quite troubling happened these past few days. My takeout kept getting stolen. In our complex, the takeout orders were left at a designated spot near the parcel lockers. Recently, my orders had repeatedly gone missing. I asked in our building's group chat if anyone had taken the wrong order by mistake, but no one responded. I also spoke to the property management about installing cameras at the pickup spot, but they used the excuse of unpaid management fees to suggest I pay for the installation myself. I asked in the group chat several times if someone had taken my order, and suddenly one of the residents snapped at me. They accused me of making a big deal over a small amount of money, constantly fussing over a takeout worth just a few bucks. Frustrated and angry, I video called one.She. He was still in that rundown motel, talking to me in the corridor while a drunk couple staggered past him. He asked what was wrong, if I had been upset by something. For the first time, I felt like I couldn't see a future, like the dark corridor behind him. He was already so tired, how could I burden him with my grievances? So, I forced the most natural smile I could muster and told him I was fine. The next day, when I ordered takeout again, I specifically asked the restaurant to make it extremely spicy, the spicier the better. That evening, when I went to pick up my food, sure enough, I saw someone taking my order again. He seems to be a habitual offender, almost as if he deliberately wanted to upset me by only taking my food delivery. To be honest, when someone took my food delivery, I felt a slight thrill of revenge. However, later that evening, someone spoke up in the group chat. I never expected it to be the person who had ridiculed me earlier for fussing over a few bucks worth of food delivery. Who the hell put insanely spicy stuff in the food delivery? My kid ended up in the hospital with acute gastroenteritis because of it. Have you no morals or decency? Whoever loaded it with chili, you better show yourself and compensate me. He didn't mention at all that he had stolen the food delivery. Honestly, even if I'm usually calm, I was so furious at that moment that I felt like I could explode, in a fit of anger. I blurted out in the group chat that I had ordered the food and I was the one who made it insanely spicy, specifically to punish the thief who stole it. As a result, that resident added me on WeChat. He immediately sent me a QR code. The medical bills for my child are 5,800 yuan, plus 4,200 yuan for emotional distress. That's a total of 10,000 yuan. Compensate me. I won't ask you for compensation for my child's missed school days and other miscellaneous expenses. Honestly, I've never seen such a shameless family. The next day, that woman was causing a scene at my doorstep with her child. She accused me of being heartless and premeditated. She argued that her child was just playing around, that it wasn't really stealing, yet I had punished him so severely. He's just a child, do you have to be so harsh? Her finger was pointed right at me, while the child cried pitifully on the side. Just for stealing a bit of your food delivery, you put so much spice in it. Do you realize that's illegal? Compensate us for the medical bills or we'll sue you, rubbing my throbbing forehead. The person in front of me was clearly being unreasonable, not to mention, how could a child continue eating something so spicy without spitting it out unless the family, looking to save money, forced him to eat it? They even threatened to sue me, but I really didn't have time to play these games with them. These days have been non-stop. Lin Yuyu seems to think I'm easy to bully, dumping nearly all her work on me. But I can't quit my job or voice my concerns. At a time like this, without money, I might not even be able to make ends meet. At 9:30 p.m., I got home and stared at the lawyer's notice stuck to my door. They really sued me. The charges were for administering a hazardous substance and excessive self-defense. My prior messages in the WeChat group, which hinted at revenge and intention, were used against me. I opened the lawyer's notice and read each page. My mother always said I was impulsive and too emotional. Now, I really regret it. I should have just said in the group chat that I like my food insanely spicy. Today, I hid the lawyer's notice before video calling one.She, but for some reason, seeing his face, feeling the distance between us, a wave of grievances overwhelmed me. I didn't feel like crying when I received the lawyer's notice. I wasn't even upset knowing I couldn't afford a lawyer to fight the lawsuit, but seeing one.She, hearing his voice, I just felt so wronged. At first, I could still talk about daily stuff with a smile, but as we talked, I started crying, unable to stop my tears. He kept calling my name over the phone. I hastily wiped away my tears before hanging up the phone. The next day, my boss asked me to work overtime. It was the first time I refused, the first time I just lay in bed, wanting to do nothing. I felt like I was about to be fired, and suddenly, I felt overwhelmed and indifferent. I couldn't stop thinking about the issues at hand. Gritting my teeth, I wanted to confront that family, to argue. It was my food delivery that was stolen repeatedly. I was the one left hungry. Why should I have to pay? But I couldn't even afford a lawyer. At 11:30 in the morning, someone violently knocked on my door. I opened it to find a child standing there. It was the child who had been hospitalized because of the spiciness of the food in my delivery. Upon seeing me, he spit at me and harshly cursed, "Animal. You made me go to the hospital." His parents were not far off, staring at me. "Where's the money for my kids' medical bills? I don't want to settle this privately. See you in court where you'll have to pay even more." They threatened me early in the morning. I took a deep breath, but before I could respond, a kid suddenly bumped into me. The child was as strong as a young bull, causing me to lose my balance and bump my head on the door frame. My head throbbed painfully. "Who told you to hurt me? I'll kill you." I saw his clenched fist aiming for my face and instinctively closed my eyes, but the punch never landed. Instead, I heard a familiar voice say, "You know you're committing assault, right?" I couldn't believe it. one.She, who was thousands of miles away in another city just yesterday, was now standing in front of me, holding the child by the collar. The kid was wailing and cursing. His words shockingly foul for his age. The parents, who had initially been spectators, rushed over frantically. They went to protect their child, but one.She had already lifted him up first. "What are you doing? What are you going to do to my baby?" The parent was clearly panicked but relentless. "I want you to pay for the medical expenses. What dare you do to my baby?" But one.She responded calmly, his voice steady and his hand gradually tightening. "Medical expenses, sure, 10,000 for a fracture, So, can I hit him? In the hospital outside the ward, no one expected one.She to actually follow through. The parents were crying and cursing, threatening to sue us. one.She leaned lazily against the wall, completely indifferent to the noise. His clothes were a bit messy. I had called him yesterday, and he had rushed over this morning. His tie was askew, and I reached out to straighten it, which caused the parents next to us to grumble discontentedly, accusing us of colluding and being morally corrupt. In reality, one.She hadn't hit hard at all. Even the doctors joked that if he had been any later, the child would have been able to run around, yet the parents made a huge scene, and the child wailed loudly. It seemed that finally annoyed by the noise, one.She looked up at them and said, "Is it just money you want? How much?" The woman seemed stunned by his presence for a second or two, then, perhaps realizing that we were not wealthy, she grew more confident. 200,000. I heard someone beside me scoff softly. 200,000, is that all you ask for your only chance to scam someone? The woman, clearly thinking the same, confirmed, "Yes, I want 200,000. Can you afford it? Everyone knows you're the poorest in this building." "Your bank account number," one.She said. Interrupting her impatiently, the woman scoffed and rolled her eyes disdainfully. As she recited her bank account number, one.She kept his head down, apparently busy with something on his phone. Seconds later, the woman's expression turned particularly colorful, as if one.She had indeed transferred that much money. "Once you receive the money, don't bother my girlfriend, or you might consider trying to mess with her." one.She's tone suggested he could easily cover the medical expenses. "I was dragged all the way here by one.She. He seems very familiar with this place, but suddenly, I have many questions about him." one.She, "Where did you get so much money? Did you max out your credit card? Where are you taking me? It seems we're in a hospital's underground parking garage, but we originally came here by taxi." Juan. "Actually, I am very wealthy." He held my wrist and suddenly spoke to me with utmost seriousness. I forced a smile, trying to keep my tone light. "Haha, what are you talking about all of a sudden?" But the next second, I saw the headlights of a Ferrari parked in a nearby corner flash twice, and one.She was holding car keys in his hand. He had always told me that the Ferrari key he carried was a lighter. In high school, I had a classmate from a wealthy family, whose brother drove this type of sports car. It was my first time in a luxury sports car, and I thought I would never get a second chance in my life. The interior of the car is not very spacious, and after getting in, we both fell into a prolonged silence. I didn't know how to start asking. one.She was leaning over the steering wheel, his head buried in his arms. It took a long while before I heard him speak. "This car is mine, and this hospital. It's also owned by my family." Perhaps, this is the most absurd scene in the world. My boyfriend of 5 years, whom I thought was penniless, tells me he is actually very rich. What did I actually say to him that day? I said, one.She, "Stop joking." I said, "It's okay if you don't have money, we can earn it." I said, "No way, you couldn't have lied to me for so long, you couldn't have. The watch I gave you last time is worth over 2 million, you can check the official website or get it appraised." My smile was strained, frozen on my face. The lighting in the underground parking was dim, and the incandescent light fell into his deep gray eyes. After a long while, I finally found my voice. "Why did you hide it from me for so long? Do you remember when we met at the English corner in college? You said then that you hated rich people the most." The person in front of me lowered his eyes, his voice sounding as if it might break at any moment. "At first, I just thought saying I was poor would make it easier to get close to you. But later, I didn't know how to untangle the lie." "So you've been lying to me for 5 years, one.She." I wanted to look him in the eyes, but he wouldn't meet my gaze. "Are you stupid?" I grabbed his shoulder, wanting to hit him, but when I actually raised my hand, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I rested my forehead against his chest, realizing my voice was soft and hoarse. "Last spring, when my gastritis was acting up, you told me you were busy with work." "I never told you," I said. "In February this year, we ran out of money at home and for 2 weeks, we lived on plain porridge together. Just now, when you sent that boy to the hospital, do you know how scared I was? I was terrified that another lawyer's letter might show up at our door, scared that I might never see you again." "Big young master, is it fun to play poor? Is it fun to spin me around in circles with your lies?" one.She, "Let me out of the car." I went to pull on the car door, but he had locked it before I could. After 5 years together, he knew me so well. I bet he's thought 1,000 times about how he would handle being confronted. Juan, you said you hate rich people. you hate liars too. I'm sorry, I'm both, I'm sorry, I don't want to let you go. When I was with one.She, we actually argued quite a lot, but it was always fiery, never like this. It turned into a cold war. It was really just me ignoring him. While he would send me dozens of messages every day, I used to think that a cold war was the beginning of the end for couples, but creating a rift with one.She, it seemed impossible. Stop blocking me, my dear, it's the last phone number I have. If you block this one, I'll have to use my grandmother's, and she really wants a great-grandson. She's got a lot of opinions about me. On my way home from work, he sent me a message from a new number. I should have realized he was wealthy earlier. The morning news screen I passed every day once reported that he was a distinguished representative of the city's young entrepreneurs, but I thought it was just someone with the same name. I couldn't help it. I replied to him, then hurry up and give her a great-grandson. He replied almost instantly, if you don't want me, where would I get a great-grandson from? This man had stopped pretending altogether. Not only did he change luxury cars daily to chase after me, but he also started to fill my rental with high-end furniture. Oh right, it wasn't actually a rental. He had bought the house a long time ago. Technically, he was my landlord. That's why I hate rich people. On my way home, a quirky rabbit doll blocked my path. When I moved left, it moved left. When I moved right, it moved right. Finally, he thrust a bouquet into my arms, with a sparkling diamond ring at its center. What are you doing, one.She? I tiptoed and lifted the headpiece off, revealing his familiar face. It was quite hot in summer, and inside the headpiece, it was stifling. His forehead was covered in sweat, sticking to his damp hair. Proposing, he replied without hesitation. You're proposing? Before I could finish, he leaned on me. The bulky costume was so warm, just being close to it made me feel hot. I think I'm having a heat stroke. Wife, quick, take me to your place. The air conditioning at home was something one.She had insisted on installing. I turned it on for the first time. He sprawled on the sofa, looking like he had no intention of leaving for centuries. I took some ice water out of the fridge for him. Sitting across from him, one.She, my dad, died when I was 6. He was an engineer, and one time while inspecting a construction site, he was killed by steel and concrete that fell from the sky. Later, it was discovered that there were problems with the construction quality because the boss had skimped on material costs. My family tried to hold him accountable, but our efforts were in vain every time. He managed to settle everything with money. That's why I despise rich people. This was actually the first time I talked about my family matters with one.She. It seems that before this, neither of us really cared much about each other's family situations. Sitting across from him, I thought this was the greatest distance between us, yet, he still leaned over the coffee table to ruffle my hair. I know, in his eyes, there was only the light of deep summer and dawn. That boss was already put in jail. He had done many bad things before. Getting him arrested was easy. I opened my eyes wide. He knew. When can I marry you? My dear, he asked me, tilting his head. Not very seriously, which extinguished the slight surprise that had just risen in my heart. Wait until I'm as rich as you, then you can marry me. He opened his eyes wide, a bit at a loss. Juan, I can wait for you, but, with your current income, you'd have to start working from the Warring States period. Monday morning, I dragged my feet into the office. I was greeted by Lin Yu's piercing laugh. Lu Huan, you're late. Late on your first day of work. Don't you want this job? I stared at her face, made up meticulously, and nodded. She seemed oblivious to the changes that had happened in the company. Indeed, we low-level employees are often the last to know anything. She walked up to me, lifted her wrist to show me her watch. See, this is a real watch. It cost 70 or 80,000, far more prestigious than the street-style trash your boyfriend gave you. Lu Huan, I'm telling you, I'm about to get a promotion. She clung to my cubicle divider, very close to me. You're getting promoted. I was somewhat surprised. She flicked her long hair. Yes, managerly said I'm capable. Completely different from you idiots. Oh, right. She had hooked up with the manager a few months ago, and now, it seemed she finally had some tangible results. It's just a pity. Lu Huan, you can now call me Sister Lin. That way, when I become your boss, I might even be kind to you. I saw her desk piled with gifts. Probably from people who knew she was about to be promoted and were sucking up to her. I shook my head, ignoring her. Hey, she got angry and knocked on the glass partition of my cubicle. Ah, Sister Lin, don't get angry with such people. Exactly. I think he just doesn't want to work anymore. Previously, not so many people sided with Lin Yuyu, but now that she was gaining power, the number of sycophants had increased dramatically. I want you to kneel and apologize to me. She suddenly made an extremely unreasonable demand. It seemed her head was about to be spoiled by flattery. Before I could reply to her, our manager knocked on the door and informed us that a meeting was about to start. Damn, did you hear? Our company has been bought out. What? That's so sudden. No wonder they called us all in early this morning. The new boss is quite generous. I heard he bought the company outright without even haggling over the price. Who is it? Who is it? We'll see soon enough. The new boss. As I walked into the meeting room following the crowd, someone bumped into me harshly. Lin Yuyu was glaring at me fiercely. You and your broke, failed entrepreneur boyfriend better prepare to leave your jobs. I locked eyes with her for a second or two and told her, that's not going to happen. Why not? Her smirk froze on her face in an instant. After the former leader finished speaking and bowed, he invited the new leader to come up and speak. Wang Chenqing straightened his tie and stepped up to the podium. That man, our new boss, was also the one who kept me in bed this morning and made me late. Later, Wang Chenqing told me about all the things he had done while pretending to be a poor man over the past 5 years. For instance, he'd tell me he was taking the bus while he was actually boarding his private jet, or how every birthday gift he got me over the years was worth no less than $1 million. Or how all our household items were custom-made, yet he lied that he bought them at a regular department store. Later on, the person who had been stealing our deliveries thought Wang Chenqing was rich and tried to extort more money from him. Wang ended up countersuing him, causing that person to lose a significant amount of money. That person and his family wailed and pleaded at my doorstep until Wang called a couple of bodyguards to remove them. I never saw that family again and I have no idea what methods he used. Later, Wang Chenqing became my boss and started increasing my salary like crazy. He tried to use various reasons to make my wealth catch up to his. I told him no, I wanted to earn it myself. He silenced me with his words over 3 nights. His voice was low and husky as he spoke close to my ear. There are many ways to make money, like, you can also claim from me, like, become my wife, and what's mine is yours. Story 2. People always said Zhou Qinchuan was indifferent and aloof, but he pursued me like a dog for 10 years, until I was pushed into a raging fire. He didn't hesitate to abandon his fortune worth hundreds of millions and followed me into the inferno. Reborn into this life, I decided not to be the bad woman who kept him hanging, and instead devoted myself wholeheartedly to treating him well. Unfortunately, it seems he was reborn too. Lin Huan. Do you still want to treat me like a dog like in your past life? Huh, I was cornered by him, forced to sign a divorce agreement. He said he would never want me in this lifetime, absolutely never. When I was 11, someone cruelly broke 5 of my fingers. From that moment, I vowed to become someone at the pinnacle of this world, by any means necessary, without scruples. Later, I did many wrong things and eventually, I was retaliated against and pushed into a fire. As I was being swallowed by the flames, I thought of nothing, but then, a white figure burst into my view and held me tight. It was Zhou Qinchuan, my husband, the man who loved me so deeply, a man without any blemishes in his life except for me. As we turned to ash, I thought, if there is another life, I swear I'll dedicate my heart and soul to only being good to him. 2. This is the divorce agreement, sign it. The flickering lights made my thoughts swirl. The man standing opposite lowered his eyes, hiding the coldness in his gaze. Zhou Qinchuan, don't be like this. I tried to grab his hand, his veins throbbed, and he quickly withdrew his hand. This was the first hour and 41 minutes of my rebirth. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable sense of relief. Zhou Qinchuan finally realized I was a bad woman who deceived him out of his money and emotions. He didn't want me anymore. 3. I sat in a cake shop, looking through the thin glass, watching 2 figures swaying in the opposite school building. Zhou Qinchuan surely didn't know I was secretly watching him explain a problem to that girl, who was nearly clinging to his sleeve. Yes, in this life, Zhou Qinchuan should know who is kind and who is innocent, but still, I propped up my chin and sent a message to that girl. Xiaomiao, how are you seducing your brother-in-law? 4. Lin Xiaomiao is my younger sister, to be precise. She is the real daughter, and I am the fake one. I was picked up by Lin's mother on a stormy day when I was 12. Everyone thought it was a coincidence, but it wasn't. To make Lin's mother find me pitiful on that rainy day, I deliberately broke my own leg. I wanted glory and wealth, to be above everyone else, to never taste that bone-deep humiliation again. When Lin Xiaomiao was 16, She was found and brought back to the Lin family. She was always kind, innocent, and pure. The things I had to break my bones to achieve, she obtained without doing anything. I hated her. I wondered why she didn't have to fall into the mire and taste the pain. 5. I am such a wicked and bad woman. So, in my past life, I suffered a lot. Perhaps, Lin Xiaomiao was really like what those people described. She was like a goddess, so I must have angered the gods. In this life, the only person who loved me also abandoned me. I curled up on the sofa, staring at the divorce agreement on the coffee table. Zhou Qinchuan, are you coming home tonight? This message lying in my phone had gone unanswered for 4 whole hours. Zhou Qinchuan's disposition was always indifferent. His friends always complained that he is as cold as ice. But in my past life, I never felt that way. To me, he was like my dog. He would come whenever he smelled me, always rubbing against me, ready to hold my hand the moment it was free. Forget not replying to messages. If I said one thing, he would respond eagerly with 10, but now, a message popped up, and I thought it was from him. I hurried to check, but it wasn't. It was from Lin Xiaomiao, a message accompanied by a picture. Sister, I didn't mean to seduce your husband. I just want to help manage our father's company. So your husband was just introducing me to some people. In the photo, the girl stood next to him with a charming smile. They looked like a perfect match. I must have called Zhou Qinchuan a dozen times. He didn't pick up, and eventually, he just blocked me. Actually, Zhou Qinchuan was never good with social niceties. He was all about academia. In my past life, to take some shares of my father's company from Lin Xiaomiao, I asked him to help me win over those in the pharmaceutical industry. He did it without a word of complaint. I never considered that he was a professor from a prestigious university, too dignified to bow down and beg favors from those people. I only remember one incident from my past life. I was discussing a partnership and got drunk, so I called him to pick me up. The private room was filled with influential figures, and as I leaned against the sofa, I watched his pale figure approach step by step. Come here, calling him over as if teasing a dog. A highly respected medical professor, a man who never lowered his chin in his daily life. Being joked about by me in public like that must have felt exhilarating at the time. Everyone thought he would storm out, but what did Zhou Qinchuan do then? He walked up to me step by step, then he naturally squatted down and grasped my ankle. He adjusted my dangling high heel. Looking up, his eyebrows seemed like a gentle mural. It's getting colder tonight, don't catch a cold. Huan. He liked calling me that. But after being reborn, he never called me that again. I'm a light sleeper. So I woke up the moment he came home. I lay there, wanting to see what he would do seeing me completely unguarded, but he just walked past me, not even willing to cover me with a blanket. I sat up and threw the divorce papers at his back. The man paused, his spine attractively visible. Don't damage it. If I have to draft it again, you won't get as much. Under the moonlight, I sat there watching him, his tone calm. A shadow of a cloud hid in his pupils, mixed with obscure coldness. I won't sign. I stared at him intently. He seemed to expect it, nodding. Okay, then we'll go to court. Zhou Qinchuan, you bastard. I lunged at him, trying to grab him, but he subdued me easily. Under the curved moonlight, he pinned me on the couch. His hand gripped my neck, not gently at all. I bit the base of his thumb. He seemed not to feel the pain, but suddenly, he let go. A gentle touch brushed across my cheek. So you can cry too. He left these cold and ambiguous words behind, leaving me alone in the living room. I pressed my eyes shut tightly, as if that would stop the tears from spilling out. Don't leave me behind. I made a vow when I was 10, never to say those words again. I refused to sign the divorce papers. The next day, Zhou Qinchuan withdrew from all collaborations related to me. The Zhou family owns a significant part of the medical industry, and he is a top scholar in this field. I admit, in my previous life, I married him for profit. I knew he didn't want me anymore, but still, when I found out he had shifted all the projects to collaborate with Lin Xiaomiao, my heart felt a dull pain. Although I also felt this was just, in my previous life, he truly saw through me. Lin Xiaomiao was so pure and clean, unlike me, who was accustomed to achieving goals through dirty means. His withdrawal from the collaboration served as a warning to others in the field, and suddenly, I found myself completely isolated. I decided to try and win Zhou Qinchuan over again. Zhou Qinchuan, are you at school? I made some lunch. Can I bring it over? I didn't dare to hope that he still had feelings for me, but I genuinely hoped he could remember our past and not be too ruthless. Staring at my phone, which showed no response, I felt my face thickening with shame. After yesterday's quarrel, When it came to matters of benefit, I still had to beg. I planned to cook him a delicious meal and deliver it personally. Then I realized a problem. I had no idea what Zhou Qingchuan liked to eat. On the contrary, he probably knew my likes and dislikes by heart, as feeding me all sorts of delicacies was his greatest obsession in his previous life. I wasn't that delicate, but I enjoyed being capricious in front of him. Zhou Qingchuan, this noodle is too hard. Zhou Qingchuan. Who would eat such soft noodles? Zhou Qingchuan, I don't like spicy food. Zhou Qingchuan, when did you start cooking so blandly? He only got angry with me once. His dark eyebrows and eyes stared at me intensely, his tone cold and serious. Huan, do you think I will always stand by your side? I looked down at my manicured nails and told him, then you can leave. That was my response. And he really did leave, in sub-zero weather. He stormed out without his coat, probably fuming with anger. Around evening, I sent him a message, Zhou Qingchuan, I miss you. Within moments, the door was opened. He suddenly pulled me into his previous life. He truly saw through me. Lin Xiaomiao was so pure and clean, unlike me, who was accustomed to achieving goals through dirty means. His withdrawal from the collaboration served as a warning to others in the field, and suddenly, I found myself completely isolated. I decided to try and win Zhou Qingchuan over again. Zhou Qingchuan, are you at school? I made some lunch, can I bring it over? I didn't dare to hope that he still had feelings for me, but I genuinely hoped he could remember our past and not be too ruthless. Staring at my phone, which showed no response, I felt my face thickening with shame, after yesterday's quarrel. When it came to matters of benefit, I still had to beg. I planned to cook him a delicious meal and deliver it personally. Then I realized a problem. I had no idea what Zhou Qingchuan liked to eat. On the contrary, he probably knew my likes and dislikes by heart, as feeding me all sorts of delicacies was his greatest obsession in his previous life. I wasn't that delicate, but I enjoyed being capricious in front of him. Zhou Qingchuan, this noodle is too hard. Zhou Qingchuan. Who would eat such soft noodles? Zhou Qingchuan, I don't like spicy food. Zhou Qingchuan, when did you start cooking so blandly? He only got angry with me once. His dark eyebrows and eyes stared at me intensely, his tone cold and serious. Huan, do you think I will always stand by your side? I looked down at my manicured nails and told him, then you can leave. That was my response, and he really did leave, in sub-zero weather. He stormed out without his coat, probably fuming with anger. Around evening, I sent him a message, Zhou Qingchuan, I miss you. Within moments, the door was opened. He suddenly pulled me into his arms, the cold air mixing with his warmth, his tall nose pressed against my neck, and I heard him say, yes, I will always stand by your side. You see, training Professor Zhou in my previous life was even simpler than training a dog. The third time I cut my hand until it bled. Staring at the boiling unknown substance in the pot, I snapped back from my memories. Realizing that I was not talented in cooking, I ended up ordering takeout from Linchuan Pavilion, and transferred it into my own thermos. After all, there wasn't much difference between home-cooked and takeout. Probably. Sorry, sister, I didn't know you also brought lunch for Teacher Zhou. He has already eaten the meal I made. Lin Xiaomiao stood in front of me, visibly flustered and panicking. Call him brother-in-law. I smiled at her, noticing her hands tighten within her sleeves. Zhou Qingchuan, I stood in front of the man who was eating his meal, head bowed, ignoring me. I took the chopsticks from his hand and replaced the lunchbox in front of him with mine. He stared at the dish for a moment before finally fixing his deep, dark eyes on me. Look, I extended my hand, covered in band-aids, towards him. I got these cuts while cooking for you. It took me a long time. Won't you eat my cooking? I met his gaze calmly, yet it felt as if I was on the verge of shattering. Finally, he sighed. Lin Huan, this dish looks exactly like the ones from Lin Chuange. Did you learn it from them? I pretended not to understand the teasing in his words and decided to just let everything go. Zhou Qingchuan, just tell me if you will eat it or not. It seemed like whenever I got angry, he would soften and coax me. I was used to this, but I had forgotten that this wasn't the same as our past lives. Yet, he still bowed his head and slowly ate the seafood congee in front of him. Obediently, just like the Zhou Qingchuan of our past life who would do anything I asked. After finishing, he watched me as I bent over for the first time to clean up the lunchbox. Lin Huan, he called my name, clear and refreshing like a stream. I'm allergic to seafood. After 2 lifetimes, you still can't remember. Shocked, I looked up at him. His usually pale wrist was now noticeably red and rashy, plainly visible to me. Is torturing me to death the only thing that makes you happy? Zhou Qingchuan had a severe seafood allergy, from the redness starting at his wrist to his incessant coughing and eventually difficulty in breathing. It only took a few minutes. How could you let him touch seafood at all? The doctor said if we had brought Mr. Zhou in any later, he might have died. Sister, how could you not know about this? Why didn't you know? At the hospital door, Lin Xiaomiao looked at me with teary eyes. Her voice tinged with a cry. She liked Zhou Qingchuan, I knew that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given him a second glance in our past lives. Well, he drank it himself, didn't he? I weakly defended myself when the door to the hospital room opened. The nurse nodded, indicating the patient was awake. Through the slightly open door, I saw Zhou Qingchuan sitting on the bed, looking at me. It seemed he had heard every word of my feeble defense. His gaze was empty, void of anything, even disappointment. Lin Xiaomiao rushed to his bedside. Mr. Zhou, how are you? I followed, but the man, silent for a long time, suddenly coughed. Lin Huan. His voice was low, his dark eyes staring straight at me. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively walked towards him. Can you never appear in front of me again? This was Zhou Qingchuan's request. I don't know why my reaction was even more intense than his. I stormed out of the hospital room, slamming the door behind me. Yes, I manipulated situations. I was heartless, I was utterly wicked, but why? Why couldn't he still stand by my side? Why couldn't he just stand by my side? No matter what kind of person I was, he chose Lin Xiaomiao over me. When I got home, I happened to spot the stuffed toy lying on the sofa. It was a limited edition dragon that he won for me before we got married. He thought of it as just an ordinary gift. Back then, I had no clue that to win this dragon, he had scoured 5 malls and emptied 4 claw machines. In the end, he presented it to me in a bar. That day, I had him drink a lot. His ears turned red, slightly tipsy. He pulled out the dragon from behind his back. Lin Huan. He called my name. Can you look at me? He hid behind the dragon, waving its claws at me. Can I stay by your side, even if, it was a faint sigh, barely audible next to me. He threw away all the dignity of being Zhou Qingchuan. Even if I have to be the backup, that's fine. It turns out, memories really do haunt you in the dead of night. As I stood at the door of Zhou Qingchuan's hospital room past midnight, that's what I thought. The night was silent, the curtains barely covering the window. I stood beside his bed, looking down at the man who seemed restless even in his sleep. Zhou Qingchuan's face, undoubtedly, had the charm that made college girls daydream about him. With his high nose bridge and sharp brow bones, he always carried an air of pride. How come? He's been entangled with me for most of my life. I unconsciously leaned closer, only to find myself caught in his cold, deep gaze. He had woken up at some point, leaning against the headboard, watching me. His look was so cold, I instinctively stepped back. Have you finally grown to dislike me? I sniffled. For some reason, under the dim moonlight, I suddenly found myself smirking at him with a bit of self-mockery. Surprised, he said, clearly biting each word. Shouldn't I dislike you? I felt a dark sharpness expanding around him. He sat up straight, his earnestness heartbreaking. You're so selfish, so utilitarian, always resorting to the lowest tactics. Shouldn't I dislike you, Lin Huan? But so what, Zhou Qingchuan? Are you telling me you just found out I'm like this? For some reason, tonight I was easily provoked. The night was uneasy, and for the first time, I wasn't so effortlessly poised in front of him. I grabbed his collar, feeling his anger too, as the blue veins on his neck stood out prominently. What's wrong? You don't want me anymore? Or do you think Lin Xiaomiao is better? That's why you're so affectionate with her. Let me tell you, even if we divorce, I won't let you have a happy future. If I can't have it, I'll destroy it. For someone like me, who lives in the mire and can't stand the sight of any bright light, it's impossible for them to reach a so-called happy ending. I bared my teeth at him, but was met with his clear, calm eyes. He leaned back on the bed, a faint smile on his lips as he looked at me. Ah Juan, when did you become so irritable, so easily stirred up? You've lost. I suddenly let go of his collar. Yes, what am I doing? Not only exposing my weaknesses. At this moment, if I wanted to find a way to get through the current difficulties, the best solution would be to appease the man in front of me. In my past life, I was adept at this, but looking at the man who now sat composedly before me, my throat felt clogged, and I couldn't speak. After a while, I swallowed the words, please, I beg you. Instead, I said, fine, just you wait, Zhou Qingchuan. I can do just fine without you. Also, I will not lose. Refuse to lose, and absolutely cannot lose. I walked out of the hospital room in high heels, falling out with Zhou Qingchuan meant giving up on him completely. No matter how you look at it, it was an impractical plan, but I no longer wanted to bow down to him. It was you who gave up everything to join me in hell in our past lives, you who always clung to me, you endured my deceit for so long. And I had already decided to treat you well, I had already started to see you as family, why then? I stared at my reflection in the elevator mirror. Luckily, I walked away so quickly, he couldn't see my eyes, red and swollen with tears. Why tell me now, you've come to your senses. It felt like being thrown back into the mire. Zhou Qingchuan's departure triggered a series of chain reactions. Everything unfolded just like in our past lives. Lin Xiaomiao gradually won everyone's favor, while I became the universally despised villain. The only difference was that Zhou Qingchuan, who had always been by my side in the past life, was no longer here. Miss Lin really knows how to hold her liquor. The middle-aged, slightly corpulent man approached me, reeking of alcohol. I struggled greatly to suppress the urge to pour my drink over his balding head. This collaboration was crucial. My father had already begun to lose hope in me, showing a clear preference for nurturing Lin Xiaomiao. Over the years, my ambition to climb the ranks had made me too many enemies. And what would become of me, an orphan with no support? I might just be kicked back into the mire I came from. Mr. Wang is joking. I brushed my hair from my forehead, and the man stared at me, almost drooling. But whenever the topic of collaboration came up, he would skillfully change the subject, taking the opportunity to ply me with more alcohol. He was indeed a sly old fox. The discomfort from the alcohol continually assaulted my brain, and I squinted my eyes, drinking another glass amid the cheering crowd. But in a daze, a sharp figure suddenly entered my view. The door of the private room opened. Ah, Professor Zhou, you finally arrived. The disdainful and lecherous old man who had just been ogling me immediately switched to a flattering demeanor, and this was the first time I saw Zhou Qingchuan in 3 months. He still seemed like a pristine white lotus, untouched by the dirt of the world. Mr. Wang, the man casually nodded at the others. I'm here to introduce one of my students to you. With that, I saw Lin Xiaomiao timidly peeking from behind Zhou Qingchuan. Now I understood why Mr. Wang had been so evasive earlier. His pharmaceutical company could double its market value if it could connect with Zhou Qingchuan, and with Lin Xiaomiao here, Zhou Qingchuan paving the way meant I had to hand over my deal to her. Strangely, Lin Xiaomiao seemed uninterested, yet she always managed to precisely snatch away everything related to me. The deal fell through. I feared that if I stayed a few seconds longer, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from throwing my drink, half on Mr. Wang's head, half on Zhou Qingchuan's head, so I pretended to greet them and walked out of the private room. But as I supported myself along the hallway, something felt terribly wrong. My body felt strange, as if something was burning up. My head was heavy, my feet light, my body weak. What had that old man, Pai Yongda, put in my drink? The next second, I was abruptly pulled into a corner nearby. I struggled violently, but my body was too weak to fight back. Hee, Miss Zhou, can you just stay still? Everyone knows you're just a cast-off. You were adopted. There was Zhou Qingchuan, and you squandered that. However, if you're willing to spend the night with me, I might just consider giving you this deal. His greasy voice exploded next to my ear. The drug was extremely potent. My limbs were weak. I desperately tried to make some noise, but the club was high-end with good sound insulation, and there was no one around. I could only watch helplessly as that man lecherously reached under my skirt. But suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. I had never been so certain that they were Zhou Qingchuan's footsteps. It was only at that moment that I realized how familiar I was with him. I desperately tried to make a noise, but the man was pressing down on me, choking me, making it hard to breathe. For the first time, tears fell heavily due to physical discomfort. You motherfucker, I heard him panting threats in my ear. Just as the footsteps started to fade, an untimely noise was made. The footsteps stopped, then turned towards us. I struggled fiercely, silently raging. Zhou Qingchuan, come the fuck over here, I'm about to die. But whether out of rage or desperation, the man pressed his fingers harder around my throat. My heart raced as the footsteps stopped right beside us. Suddenly, a timid, sweet voice called from down the hall, Mr. Zhou, there are a lot of people in the room, and I'm really scared by myself. Can you come and keep me company? Don't go to such a dark place. The footsteps abruptly halted. My heart sank into boundless darkness. The next second, I was abruptly pulled into the dimly lit hallway. The man's screams also abruptly resounded in my ears. Zhou Qingchuan seemed to have learned some fighting skills over the years, but when the man was thrown out, I was also shocked. Then, I fell into a less than enthusiastic embrace. Zhou Qingchuan, He took off his coat and draped it over my disheveled form. The turmoil inside me surged more than ever due to his brief touch. Strangely, I resisted letting things continue this way and struggled to get off him, but he held me tightly. My throat was sweet, unable to make a sound. Slowly, more and more people came out of the private room, and I saw Lin Xiaomiao's red, aggrieved eyes. My consciousness then sank into a deep, dark stupor. I was awakened by the cold. The shower continuously sprayed liquid much colder than my body temperature. The man stood by, watching me, his thoughts inscrutable. Give me my clothes. I tried to get up, finding my limbs powerless. His touch sparked a shiver. I abruptly shook off his hand. In fact, in my past life, I always treated Zhou Qingchuan this way. Temper is nurtured, and in my past life, his indulgence almost let me do whatever I wanted. Mr. Wang gave you a very new drug. Are you sure you can walk out? He looked down at me, his expression ambiguous. I worked in drug research and understood the lingering effects and antidotes for such drugs, and now the perfect antidote was right in front of me. If it were the me from my past life, I would have clung to him by now. But now, I hesitated. Suddenly, the sound of a belt unbuckling lightly echoed. I shivered, then the clear water splashed lightly. He grasped the back of my neck. The kiss came suddenly. Here, I'll skip the part about the antidote's effects wearing off, which nobody likes to read about. It felt like I was being rescued from a torrential sea. My mind started to regain a slight semblance of clarity, and then, with all the reality of the moment, I slapped him hard across the face. His head turned sharply to one side. Zhou Qingchuan's features are strikingly handsome in an aggressive way, his eyelashes extraordinarily long. From my angle, they were dotted with fine droplets of water. He let out a laugh, like a flower suddenly blooming in ruins. You really know how to use and discard. The sound of trickling water still echoed around the bathroom. Through the shimmering reflection, I looked into his eyes, hiding countless secrets. Zhou Qingchuan, why did you guide Lin Xiaomiao? Whether it's because you pity her past self, or you genuinely fell for her. Zhou Qingchuan, if you have her in your heart, when it comes time to choose between us, don't choose me. I'm not someone who is very emotional, even after pondering most of my life. I still don't understand what liking someone truly means, but I view everything the same way. I want it all, the very best. If he is distracted, then he is worthless to me, and I am not lacking in worthless things. Lin Huan, his eyes clouded over with darkness, impenetrable. We've both been given a second life. We both know what the best path forward is, don't we? What? Is your logic telling you not to repeat the mistakes of your past life? Then just leave. I splashed water at him. He didn't dodge. Instead, he continued to look at me with those pale, sad eyes. Ah Huan, he called me, the name lingering on his lips, grinding away disappointment and resentment. It's not me who's repeating the same mistakes, it's you, stubbornly following the same dark path, unwilling to repent. Right, I froze, panic slowly magnifying within me. The man stood up, the world outside so dark, tied to his shadow. His gaze rested on me, my thoughts in turmoil. Next time don't let Director Wang handle things, he's too careless. He didn't dispose of the medication packaging properly. In the quiet of the bathroom, I listened to his every word, striking deep into my heart. That medication came from your lab, didn't it? He couldn't have known the formula before our collaboration. Today, so many saw me protecting you, that should be enough for you. With those words, the man left the bathroom. I lay alone in the bathtub, half submerged in darkness. I looked up, staring at the gloomy ceiling. Yes, that's enough. I can't lose. Director Wang might look a decade or two older than me, but he was actually my college classmate. Everything today was orchestrated by me. I gambled on whether Zhou Qingchuan would save me publicly. If he saved me, it would prove that our relationship wasn't as fractured as it seemed, and I could use him again as a leverage for my comeback. I won the bet. Now, there are probably many partners eager to contact me and restart collaborations, but why am I so afraid? The way Zhou Qingchuan looked at me when he left, I suddenly realized, my heart. It turns out I can also be so disoriented and panicked because of his disappointment. Destruction at the root is the relentless redemption of the soul. Why do villains in movies and dramas live so long? Perhaps they are just like me, shameless, having abandoned too much. As the year draws to a close, my position has finally been solidified once again. Lin Xiaomiao messed up several collaborations, and eventually, my father, the capitalist, shifted his focus back to me. things were supposed to progress positively from here, but unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I had made too many mistakes and enemies in my past life, so, after 3 consecutive social gatherings, on my way home at midnight, I was abducted by several men in baseball caps and shoved into a white van without feeling any surprise. Who ordered you to kidnap me? I can offer twice the money. No, 3 times. Unequal negotiations always revolve around pleasing the other party, so as I was pushed into the vehicle, my mind was rapidly spinning. Unfortunately, they were unmoved, and suddenly a knife was pressed against my throat. TCH. They weren't after money, but my life. May I ask whom have I offended? Before I could finish my sentence, the knife had already pierced slightly into my skin. I shut up as a voice modified by a voice changer echoed in my ear. Don't worry, I don't want your life, I just need you to do something for me. The blade traced my veins, constantly reminding me that my life was hanging by a thread. Now, call Zhou Qingchuan, ask him for the key to the YDX2 formula. YDX2, I remember. This anti-cancer drug was about to be launched, spearheaded by Zhou Qingchuan. Its release could potentially revolutionize the fields of medicine and pharmacy. Unfortunately, in my past life, both Zhou Qingchuan and I died on the eve of its launch. I was killed in a car accident on the way to the launch event, and he died running into the blazing inferno to embrace me, disregarding his own safety. We're not buddies, I'm just his ex-wife. Do you think I can get something so important? But hearing the kidnapper's demand almost made me laugh. It might be the illusion I created that deceived them, making these people think that Zhou Qingchuan was still the same person I could summon or dismiss at will. Only I knew that even if I died now, it wouldn't cause him a ripple. Tell him you've been kidnapped. Tell him you're going to die. The blade finally drew a line of blood along my neck. The man eased up a bit, then pressed the knife tip against my chest. I really had no choice. From his tone, he wasn't lying. If I couldn't get the key, I definitely wouldn't survive the night. But YDX2 was essentially all of Zhou Qingchuan's life's work. Those people wanted the formula probably to launch it before he could. If I actually managed to get it, it would ruin Zhou Qingchuan's life, the brilliant and great future of Professor Zhou. Compared to the life of a villain like me, it was clear I should sacrifice myself. But unfortunately, as I said, I'm a selfish person. Give me the phone. I can only say I'll try my best. The man seemed pleased with my compliance. Before the call connected, I prepared myself. First, I needed to use a perfectly pitched crying tone, then add a tremble to my voice. Say to him, Zhou Qingchuan, I'm about to die, please save me. Because he always fell for my act of submission. This way, the chances of success might not be 70 or 60%, but definitely 30 or 40. But the moment the call connected, my mind went blank. Hello? Hearing his softly responding voice reminded me that it had been 4 months since we last spoke. I thought for a long time. Lin Huan, shouldn't you be the most selfish person? Lin Huan, don't you care about your own life? Lin Huan, you already owe Zhou Qingchuan so much, what's a little more? But in the end, as I looked up at the moon outside the window, tonight's moonlight was just too beautiful. I said, Zhou Qingchuan, happy birthday. I said, you're such a fool. Lucky that today happens to be your birthday. Don't fall for me in your next life, dummy. I lunged towards the tip of the knife, wondering what the greatest failure in life is. A miserly, selfish ghost. One day, I gave everything generously. It's so shameful. I've thought about being a good person. If I were born into an ordinary family, with a father and a mother, if I hadn't been kicked and pushed around by everyone from childhood. It's not that I don't want to be a good person. It's just that if I've lived until now, I couldn't possibly be a good person. But the definition of a good person varies from person to person. I bankrupted a company, sparing its owner the pain of experiencing its future failure. Am I not a good person? I'm too good, actually. However, I think Zhou Qingchuan is a good person in the conventional sense. After all, he's lived an upright life, never doing a single despicable thing. So, when he got close to me, all I could think about was destroy him. Destroy him. I couldn't destroy him. He's incorruptible, a world apart from me. I remember one night, after we became an item, he rose from me. I suddenly hooked my arms around his neck, our faces so close, his breath on my face, his intense gaze burning into me. Would you love me, even if I were a bad woman? I asked him, almost playfully. His Adam's apple bobbed gently. Then he stared at me, his sincere black eyes fixed on me. He said, I would. His fingertips touched the most sensitive part of my spine, biting my shoulder, softly enduring. when have you ever not been a bad woman? So I had already ruined him, there was no denying it, the world changes. I don't believe in 100% true feelings in this world, the only thing I'm sure of is his love for me. He managed to do something so difficult, so, if one day my broken life could have a glorious end, then I would reluctantly allow him to give it a grand finale. I stared at the ceiling, moving up and down. Is this heaven? Impossible, not because heaven looks too much like a ship's hold, but because of the person sleeping next to me. How could Zhou Qinchuan and I possibly end up in the same place after death? You're awake. The person next to me glanced at me lightly, then pulled the slightly slipped blanket back over my shoulders. Where are we? On the high seas. We're probably approaching Copenhagen soon. That's quite a drift. Why didn't I die? You want to die that badly? I turned to look at him, his eyes dark, his complexion not so good, and his gaze a bit fierce. I raised my hand, stroking his stubble. So you came to save me after all. What's the cost? Zhou Qinchuan, give up the identity of a medical scholar, hand over YDX2, never to involve in this field again, nor step half into the country's territory. Right. I turned my head, the ship's rail framing the surging waves. The ones who orchestrated my kidnapping were led by my father. I should have known. My rights are too heavy. He needed to pave the way for his own daughter. In the end, I'm still just a stray dog that anyone can kick around. The sea breeze carried a faint, moist scent. I leaned next to him, tightening the blanket around me. Zhou Qinchuan, don't you have even the slightest grievance? He stared at me. Ah Juan, there are many things that I just do if I feel like doing them. I've tried taking a different path in life, but it wasn't what I wanted, in this world. Everything is rigidly defined, everything in black and white, but for you, I can break all the rules. In the dimly lit cabin, he gently touched my hand. If it means following a path to the end with you, then I'm ready to spend another lifetime by your side. I'm so infatuated with you, especially when you gave up your life for me. I really hate myself. My life is already a mess. What does it matter if I let go of my pride for you? He asked me what I was smiling about. I just think this world is hellishly fair. I looked up. I have nothing left, but I still have you. You have everything, yet you're stuck with me. I quietly said to myself, Zhou Qinchuan, let's not meet in the next life. I rubbed the tips of his fingers, then our fingers intertwined. This lifetime, let me protect you. Letter to Lin Huan. Yesterday, Mrs. Smith next door told me she saw you pacing at the garden gate for a long time before heading home. This morning, you rushed out of the door without a word, using grocery shopping as an excuse. I think you must have heard the news from across the ocean. YDX2 is indeed my life's work, and I had anticipated the unprecedented success it would bring to the Lin family. To be honest, I find the torment of not having spoken to you for 11 whole hours far greater than seeing my efforts used by others. I know we feel differently about matters of the heart. You can't understand my love for you. A feeling that for me transcends conventional meaning and even life and death. Therefore, you don't need to worry about hurting me. After all, your mere attention is a gift enough for me. You hid in your room last night and cried. I heard it. I felt contempt mixed with pity and annoyance, yet also a thrill in my heart. It shows that you care about me, and this slight concern makes me tremble with excitement, almost desperate to hold you and kiss you. I constantly